So we're both wearing red to clearly commemorate.
We're both
this
wearing
event.
red to commemorate the historically red video game covers associated with the Dragon Age series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
And give, thanks to
Yeah.
Kirkwall and to represent the tainted blood drunk by Earth's mightiest heroes, the Grey Wardens.
Yeah.
Protect
and
us.
red lyrium, or occasionally angry lyrium. Red lyrium.
Oh, hey gang, count it. Under a minute before Dylan had to attack the Veilguard in some way. We're not even talking about the Veilguard today.
No, we're not. We're talking about Dragon Age. The whole series.
The whole series.
We're wrapping it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's exciting. It's exciting.
I'm a little bit nervous that I'm going to cry.
It is very... Yeah. It is sad. By the way, I have a simply spiked lemonade. What are you drinking?
I have wine.
Let's have a toast. Just to us, in general. We set out to have a specific goal of completing all of the Dragon Age games for the Veilguard and then playing through the Veilguard. And we're here together, you, a best friend in the whole world. I'm so stupid honored. I know I've already done this with the Trespasser, but I still am so stupid honored because now it's officially like what would be the end of this podcast if we didn't have so much fun finding an excuse to talk to each other every week and decide, oh, well, let's just keep doing this and play Mass Effect afterward. And you know what is the most special bit about the fact that we are no longer going to be able to play any Dragon Age games?
What?
We can now talk about Dragon Age casually to each other.
Whenever we want.
A thing that we haven't allowed ourselves to do at all. And it has been actual hell for me because we start talking and then we say, can't talk about it. We have to wait till our opinions are content. And unfortunately... We opened up our call today with me saying, hey, how you feeling about Mass Effect? Oh, darn, we can't talk about it.
We can't talk about it because I have already played the prologue. Yeah.
But I love you very much.
I love you so much. The thing that I think hit me really hard was today I was listening to the episode we just posted, which is the last one. And realizing that like you were just excited about this series, like you were excited about my favorite game, which is just like, it's so magical to be like, hey, this is a thing I've been obsessed with for such a long time. I've gone through like so many stages of obsessed with it. I've written fan work and I've, done exchanges and fundraisers centered around this game. And I've just like lived so many lives within this series. I have so many wardens. I have so many champions. I have so many inquisitors. That are all very, very real and important to me. And then to bring this to you and show it to you and not only have you actually play it, but like think about it with me and talk about it with me and like get like buy in. It's just like, that's why this friendship is so special, because you and I care about the things that are important to each other, and that this was like such a like prime example of that. And I just love you so much, and I can't believe that we did this and we completed it, and that we get to now turn the tables a little bit. And I get to play something that I've never played before, and I'm really nervous and excited. Yeah. Beautiful.
Anyway, cheers.
Clink.
Think.
Love you.
Yeah, so I got a little cringe in our last one, which I just got so excited about my Hawk Dragon Age fan fiction.
Your fan fiction, yeah, which I would read. Yeah.
It's the coolest shit in the world. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Hawk going to kill Solus is best shit ever. Right. So this is fun now because now we don't necessarily have like a thing to talk about. This is just us talking about Dragon Age.
About Dragon Age, the series,
about Dragon Age series as a whole. So I have a question, I think. Okay. If you could have one NPC if you had one NPC come back in a different game, and be like a companion, who would you pick? Or just come back and be like a kind of integral part of a team?
Yes. So I have a couple of these. I get why he wasn't an option to bring back. I think it probably would have been pretty complicated given the amount of different endings he can have. I always wanted there to be a Zevran Aranai like quest, officially, not a war table thing, but like a thing in Inquisition where we could go and like interact with the crows, especially because we work with House Antiva so much throughout Inquisition. I think like ending that possibly with a quest with him would have been really, really strong. I definitely wish that I appreciate whatever they were trying to do with the shadow dragons, or whatever. If Veilguard had been a Dragon Age game, I think that Dorian and Mayveris should have been like two of your advisor kind of stand-ins. They should have been like people I was going to all the time. In fact, I would have taken that over seeing the Inquisitor at all. Like let the Inquisitor maybe show up at the end. Keep the concept of the letters where the Inquisitor is helping the South while you fight for the North. But here in the North, Dorian and Mayveris Talani are right here, and Dorian has worked with the Inquisition, knows Solus. Mayveris and him have fought corruption in Tevinter before and are currently doing so. They make so much sense, and there would be so much juice there. So I wanted that a lot. And Morgan's kid. I wanted more. I liked that there was the possibility for him to appear in Inquisition and for you to get that whole scene. Yeah. I thought that was brilliant. I actually don't know if I need a whole thing with him, but I would at least love to know where he's at or like what's going on with that.
That would be cool. I'd like that. I really, man, I'd love him so much just to kind of be around in any context. I just think he's fucking what a cool idea of a character. Mine is
what's yours?
So mine's a deep pull of a guy who I love so much from Origins. Oh God, what's his name? I'm actually gonna. Where's my book? Here it is. By the way, for people who are actually listening and watching, this is my notebook. This notebook I had filled really very little pages. I filled this many pages. That's a big plastic bit. This many pages, about a not even a tenth of this book, with
Yeah, not
nothing.
even.
And then every single other page is every piece, every thought I've ever had about Dragon Age is on these pages.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very fucking good. I have
Mhm.
I came to the end of the book at the end of the Veilguard. I timed
God,
it
that's perfect.
absolutely perfectly, and I'm just here we go, Alienage. This is all the way back in Origins. Otto, guy called
Sir
Otto.
Otto.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sir
Wrong
Otto
answer.
in Origins is, for people who aren't aware, is a nearly blind Templar who can only see like magic and like kind of
Right.
like fade
Right.
essence in people. And he's hunting a bunch of blood mages in an orphanage in the alienage. And he dies at the end of this quest, but he's so cool. He's so sick. Just like a nearly blind Templar who is hunting mages and can see mages through his Templar training is something that if not him, I wish they touched on again.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
heavens.
Bringing
That
back,
would be the coolest thing in the world.
I think actually that's a possibly more interesting question. What concepts kind of got brought up in earlier games that you wish got brought back more? Like that as a concept, like Templars being able to like
To
like
physically see
and feel. Yeah.
It's not even a concept, but the like Legion of the Dead. We had a companion in Awakening who was Legion of the Dead, the dwarf group, and I wanted maybe not even her, but that group to make more of an appearance. Obviously, I wanted the Architect to be in it more.
Of course, yeah. You wanted the Architect,
wanted so bad for sentient community of Darkspawn to be a thing in these later games, because there was a community of Darkspawn that had commerce and like currency and an understanding of cat just
I heard parkour out.
I know, I gotta check on this damn ass cat. Cat hates Dragon Age apparently.
So yes, so the Architect obviously, and also with the sentient Darkspawn, I was thinking like the original trilogy at least like wants to play with this like gray morality, especially around the concept of the Wardens. You want to really test the morality of the Wardens, do a plot line where
they have
sentience arises in the Darkspawn,
because it's a whole question of like how far does that sentience go? Do they have family units? Do they have like community? You know, clearly Dragon Age franchise is good at making different cultures and how different like groups work. That isn't like your standard, familial unit. And I would love to have them take a crack at it is a group of like dead that it's like, do you remember who you were? Like this body, the shell, do you remember? Do you remember like I don't know. It's just there's just so much stuff that could be really cool in asking those questions. And it's a thing where it's like I don't know. It's one of the main things I wanted in the Veilguard is like it's been long enough for it. I mean, Darkspawn started creating community in what 6 months?
Yeah.
I mean, about a year and a half is when the Architect started doing the stuff. So about a year and a half, they started. Again, they were trading with like just a human guy who and that's just so cool, and I would have loved that to be pushed more. And They went different angles with things, and I know that, I know that's obviously I love that, and that's fine. And you're going to have Darkspawn in all of them because they're such a huge threat in the world, and you don't really have time to tell those stories. But I feel like you could. I that's just.
I
what
feel like you could.
wanted.
I feel like you could.
Maybe.
Yeah. I feel like you absolutely could. Like you wrestle with, so like let's say they don't, the architect or someone else carries on the architect's work, does this again, the Darkspawn start to rebuild a sentient population, and then let's say a bigger threat than the Fade Rifts happens. We'll pretend that the plot of Veilguard felt like a bigger threat than the Fade Rifts. But whatever it is, bigger threat is happening. And the sentient Darkspawn are offering to help.
Yeah.
And it's them or the Wardens that you get to choose between.
That would be fucking crazy.
That would be
especially in a story like the Veilguard, where it's like, let's take it as true lore. There are these old elven gods that have got this like worse version of the Blight, and that's what the Darkspawn's like bargaining chip is like. That's like Grey
they
Wardens
can't hurt us with the Blight. They can't.
Grey Wardens
we've already got
Blight,
it.
yes, but they can't do it. We can. And you know what? That would be a fucking cool end to Davrin's story, is that last mission where it's like, oh, people are having the calling, and then the Gloomhowler is like adapting them to do that. Adapting them to create a new Weishaupt it's just a bunch of sentient Darkspawn, and Grey Wardens who get the calling can die killing Darkspawn or go and move into what is essentially a retirement home for Grey Wardens, where it's like, oh, they have fully lost their mind to the Blight and they fight for Darkspawn now. But I mean, they're not raving mad like we've seen Wardens with the calling before. It's like the architect or whoever has somehow managed to make them people again. And it's like, oh, but they're not them, because they are now this new creature that is a Darkspawn. So the Grey Warden version of themselves is dead. Whoever that person was in life has deceased. Because then you can also open up the fact of like, yeah, but Justice in Awakening had the same thing, where the body of them is dead and now it's a new person that's living in their body. And is that fine? Because it's like, well, you died. You're not using the body anymore. It's a thing that I just think would be a cool storyline.
That would be amazing. And that would be a real interesting conflict. It would be a cap to like this thing we've been wrestling with, which are the Wardens necessary? Are the Wardens a net good? And like the answer always comes down to a reluctant yes, because the Darkspawn are this unavoidable evil.
Yeah.
What happens when there's a cure, and when there's, and then that follows the theme of Inquisition, which is like understanding when to let go of the power that you came into. Like you came into this power for a reason. Now that reason is gone.
And you could have a fun, interesting thing where if we wanted to do what Dragon Age loves, which is making new factions, you could make a new faction of like, there is a group of like high danger criminals, and their thing is, oh, we have a Grey Warden on staff, and when we get caught doing our thing, we get conscripted so we don't die. And if the Grey Wardens are now being forced to disband because Darkspawn are no longer a threat, then our whole job is going to be wrecked. So we actually don't want any Darkspawn to have any we don't want people to see the Darkspawn as good, so we're going to go against them. And it's a whole like weird question of how do people in the world like interact with the fact that demons are fine now, and they just have a brain. Well, not demons, but you know what I mean. Demons in the current Earth context of like, this zombies. Zombies can think and feel. I just think it'll be sick. I think that'd be a really cool weird fucking story.
Yeah.
A thing
I
which
also
yeah
want to hear from Justice/Vengeance again.
would love to hear from Justice S Legends. I would love a thing which I think I understand why, but is I don't know. I'd love to see Anders again. I just kind of want to know because the end of 2 and the inciting not the inciting incident, but one of the main conflicts of Inquisition is caused by him. How does he
Yeah.
feel about that? Like,
Yeah.
what is he
If he's
fucking doing?
alive, if he's alive, like, what is he fucking doing?
What is he doing? Did he bomb one church, incite a whole war, and then just be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna dip"? No, he's obviously fighting for the mages. It's wild to me that we didn't see him
And to
in.
I mean, I guess I could be forgetting something, but I don't recall any like codex drops that like say anything about where he is at.
I mean, even in Inquisition, my Hawk romanced him, and then Hawk was just like, "Yeah, I just kind of left. I left Anders because I didn't want to worry him, or like, no, I didn't want to bring Anders because then people were going to kill him. I think was the reason
that
why.
was it. Yeah.
Um,
Which reasonable, I guess. Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah.
But then, like, what's he up to? What's he doing?
Fucking up to? Literally. I'm just reading Dragon Age Inquisition's like note on Anders. Apparently, if Hawk survives and travels to Weishaupt, Varric says that Anders will reunite with them if Justice hasn't driven them mad or he hasn't been killed. Which again is a thing of like, I mean, Anders went to Weishaupt? Like that feels crazy. Like I don't know. There's like so much stuff where it's like I just want to see what happened to this guy. Like almost more so than other companions. I feel like we have to know who one of the lead villains of Dragon Age 2 is doing, considering they were a companion.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree.
He's just crazy. I love it.
I was thinking about this. So like the Manfred plotline and like basically a lot of the Navarin Mortalitazi plotline in Veilguard what was interesting, but something about it was like not something about it had like a very like weird doesn't fit vibe in the world to me. Not Emmerich's personal story, I liked that, but specifically the thing where wisps are just like constantly taking over dead bodies and piloting them. So in Navarin culture, so here's what I did. I got out my World of Thetis book and I started rereading it today. And the thing about it is that in Navarin culture, they don't burn the bodies of their dead like everybody else in Thetis does. They instead mummify them. And the reason they do that is because it is believed, which is very different than it is true that it is believed that when a person passes on and their soul leaves to cross into the Fade, it displaces a spirit that's already there, and that spirit gets sent back in like the form in like a shapeless form, and they don't have anything, and so the bodies are there in the event that a soul gets displaced and has nowhere to go, and then they can be in.
Okay.
That's what they're there. So that's like the belief system of Navarra. I feel like it's a little less interesting to make it like, oh, that's just true and that's what's happening. Instead of like, like, yeah, of course.
Sure, like it's not a theory that these people believe. It's not a theory or a belief.
Yeah, the spirits are just always displaced, and that's what wisps are. Wisps are around because every time someone dies, a soul gets knocked out of the Fade, and has nowhere to go, and so they hop into whatever corpse is nearby, and that's what's creating like undead and stuff like that, which like is fine. But the there were more interesting themes with the story of Cole, which I think is like one of my all-time favorite characters in the series. Favorite concept, favorite story. Is that that happened, the issue of Cole the spirit taking over Cole the human's body, happened in a moment of such dire desperation and was a anomaly event. Like,
Sure.
this was a huge deal for that to happen, and happened out of like an immense amount of compassion mixed with an immense amount of fear. Cole the spirit was so compassionately worried about Cole the human, and Cole the human was so desperate for help that it created this circumstance where Cole the human let Cole the spirit take him over. And I want there to be more importance around like that as a concept. Like, I would love to, like with something like, if they wanted to give me a story like Manfred's, instead of it just being like this wisp of curiosity hopped in here and now this is our pet, like what was this spirit so desperately curious about?
Yeah.
And why this body?
Yeah.
To give us like a more, I just like I want to know more about that concept and the implications of it, and like what it takes for a because in all other instances too, we've always been told that like when a spirit leaves the fade and is twisted into something other than it twists it into something other than its purpose, and that is what turns it into a demon. And that didn't happen with Cole, because compassion was jumped into Cole in an act of compassion, and was then allowed to stay who he was.
Yeah.
And so like I just want more of I want more from that whole concept of like spirits who defy the rule that they have hopped out of the fade and into the real world, but they didn't get twisted. And here's why. They didn't get turned into demons. Here's why. And that's something that I would love to see more of.
There's a little bit of a lot of the stories in the Veilguard it's like we talked about this, in our Act 3, conversation of like they just kind of introduce something and then immediately solve it, where it's like some of the stories I would like to have just sat with for a while. I sat with and then kind of gone, like kind of being like, okay, but what is that? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
We talked about Emmerich's bar none the best of the companion quests, but still, it's like I would have liked to talk to him more about what being a lich entails, talk to him about him and, Johanna's kind of history and past. And I would like to ask Davrin, like, what his thoughts were on giving the Griffins back to the Grey Wardens versus releasing them in the wilds.
His opinion on that. Yeah.
And that's the thing, is like, in other Dragon Age games, specifically Inquisition, actually, a lot of the decisions, the big decisions, you can ask a relevant companion member if you have them with you, just like, what do you think about this? And then they'll suggest something, and then you just have like someone's opinion. Or even in most other Dragon Age games, people will pitch, like, one-line pitch their, like, I actually don't think this is a good idea, by the way.
Right.
Or just like, oh, we should definitely do that. And it's a thing in this where you're just kind of asked, hey, what should we do? And I would have liked the relevant party member who I'm speaking to be like, actually, I love the Grey Wardens, but I don't think they should get the Griffins. Or like, oh, hey, I think that this is like, what we were talking about when you said, I actually don't think that we should put this like new breed of animal into war immediately. As soon as they're like refound, we should let them be free. And it's like, it's like if I had Tosh with me, they would have said, yeah, maybe we don't give them to maybe we don't give this new fresh animal that's so critically endangered we can count on one hand how many are alive to a group of people who are just about to fight a war. And stuff like that. I would have liked to have talked to them more about stuff.
I do. I thought of another one that I, in general, would have liked to see have been in any of the other games. The Sylvans.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Those like sentient trees. Like plants that we see in Origins.
Give me the rhyming tree back. I love that guy.
Yeah. But there were like a bunch of them that all attacked us too. So there's like there's something out there in the Kakari wilds. There's trees out there that
Speaking of the trees, I want to know what the fuck happened to those werewolf elves. Oh my god. What I wouldn't give for the best mission in Origins, one of the best missions in Origins.
One of them, yeah.
Yeah, what I wouldn't give to just be like, what happened to those guys actually? Whatever happened to those guys? Yeah.
Oh my god, that'd be incredible. Yeah.
Truly. Yeah.
Do you have favorite mission from Origins?
1 second, I gotta consult my notes.
Consult your notes.
Cat just jumped up at me.
Yeah.
All right. Are we allowing Awakening? Is Awakening involved in the...
Yes, babe. Anything that we did on this show is included.
In Origins, though?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's part of Origins.
There we go. Oh, I mean... Okay. I can personally appreciate that Ozamar is great. It was a tad too many politics in a world that I didn't belong. So I don't think that's it, but I do want to give it honorable mention as it's a
mine,
genuinely
so
very good quest, and I figured it would, and I wanted to just like couch.
Yeah.
I loved the Brazilian forest. I thought it was so peak. Damn, I mean it might be like the final mission against the Archdemon is so excitingly peak to me.
That whole final mission is really strong with all of your teams coming together.
Yeah, and it's
the
cool
world
and you're
coming
seeing
together.
all the gang, and you get that new warden who's like, hey, I should tell you, you're gonna die, right? Duncan told you that? And you're like, oh, for fuck's sake. You're like, no, he didn't.
No,
like,
of course he didn't.
He was kind of desperate.
He didn't tell us fucking anything, actually.
And then like him dying in a really cool way was fun.
Everything.
And then like climbing it's just the whole thing.
The
really,
allies
really
coming and like the counter showing you your allies as they die, like, and like you're moving through the city. Yeah, no,
it's full war. It's cool. It's like a cool moment.
And having to make like big decisions right beforehand that like once you make them, like you don't know what the repercussions are gonna be until you get out of this, and it's just like
it's great.
I'm with you on that.
I really did like it. I mean, I love the Temple of Sacred Ashes, but I can't really forgive that one puzzle where you have to build the bridge. So it does knock it off. I do like the deep roads, and I really like Branca, but again, the first part of the deep roads, it's tough for me to forgive it. It's it's a toughie. I mean, fucking loved literally all of Awakening. I know that you didn't, because we talked about this
Yeah.
the other day, I think off mic, but you were like that you just didn't. It just this time around it just didn't work.
Well, it didn't work because I had to play a new character that I had no connection to because my warden died.
Yeah.
And that was just like kind of a rough start to it. Yeah.
No, it's got to be the Brazilian forest, because in that you get the Sylvans beforehand. You get the hermit who like builds you a backstory beforehand.
Yeah.
There's cool weird werewolf stuff, and I know that we talked about this for ages, but I think it is a genuine decision where you can side with either team, and I'd be like, yeah, that's
it's
fair.
a good morally gray choice.
Yeah. It's got a lot of cool, weird fucking lore.
Yeah, you get elf lore.
I can imagine if you're a Dalish elf warden that it's so crazy to come back to that's your crew, right? Is that am I right in saying that that's your team, or is
Correct.
your team? Yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine it's fucking crazy being like, wait, what do you mean there's a bunch of werewolves knocking around my old camp and then trying to deal with it? I just think that's so fun.
What do you mean my keeper has been lying to me my entire life? That like it's not just like this random guy lied to his people. You got lied to in that case. Yeah, being an
and
elf.
you also learn a lot about elves and Tevinter,
you do.
and like the fact that's where it's like, oh, elves used to be immortal, and then Tevinter Magus just kind of stole that from us, and it's like, oh shit, that's crazy. And it's like everything is just so. There's like a bunch of fun tiny quests. You can get two people like shacked up there, and then
you get Win backstory. Possibly you can get Win backstory. I didn't get it.
But there's just a lot of really cool things that I think is so fun. It's got to be that. It's and it's gutting that we don't revisit it because it's so good. But maybe it's so good because it's contained. Because it's so solo and singular. Like, although I want to go back and check up on them, it's like, no, you did it. It's solved.
It is solved.
You like you kind of what? Made them. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? I that clan, maybe we could find out what happened to them, because that's not the same clan that Meryl is at that potentially gets destroyed. Because Meryl gets sent from that camp to go to the one she's in 2 because she develops magic and there's too many mages in the same camp. So that clan is around, possibly kicking around.
Yeah.
So like you could meet them again, like, and maybe there's a possibility for like that spirit of the forest that had like saved all of those, people and like turned them all into werewolves. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that would be cool to see again.
Lots. Yeah, no, I know. I don't know. I think that's it with, I don't want to say it's that with a bullet, because, man, did I love almost all of Origins. But it's good. Yours is Ozma.
Toe to tip, whole thing. Great. It's great.
Yeah.
That's the dwarf origin, whether it's noble or commoner.
You can't beat it.
That's the canon run to me.
I believe you. I agree, to be honest.
It's so strong. The lore drops are constant. The horror of it, the build up to the broodmother, the tragedy of the broodmother, having to fight the broodmother, knowing that the broodmother is a victim and a tragedy, like,
oh my god. And you have the quest where that woman's son is being trapped in the deep roads, and you go and you find to have gone insane, and if you talk about his mum too much, he tries to kill you because he doesn't want to hear about it.
Yeah, because he's had to eat Darkspawn to survive. And so he's got like a weird version of the blight
Yeah.
where like he's got yeah, it's like, oh, it's so good. And then the proving and the Orzammar politics and like learning that like Orzammar, so like it's like this game has kind of lost its way a little bit in showcasing like, because like the dwarves are also like a very wealthy culture to the point where Orzammar is a caste society.
Yeah.
Like the dwarves are not oppressed. They're oppressing each other. They're doing an oppression.
Yeah.
Um and like, and we could have had development in that. And we really haven't. We hear a little bit about it
Mm.
we hear a little bit about it in Inquisition, but we don't really deep dive back in to what's become of dwarven politics in a
Yeah.
way that we get to see in the games necessarily. Um and I would love that, because I just think that whole sequence start to finish is brilliant.
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite. All right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Favorite mission in 2.
This is tough
Felicia
because
Day's Big Day Out.
I love Felicia Day's Big Day Out. I'm never gonna not love Felicia Day's Big Day Out. I'm trying to pick something that isn't Felicia Day's Big Day Out, so it's tough.
Yeah.
No, Dragon Age 2's all of Dragon Age 2's missions come with the hell of its combat.
That's very true. Yes.
So for me, I think it's probably a moment. It'll have to be a moment where it's like the game really like got me, and it's either the first mission in the Deep Roads where you're going like the first mission at the end of each the last mission at the end of each act is so great. Like the first one where you're going through the Deep Roads is great.
I agree.
The Quinari storming Kirkwall is really great, and also I think the Mage Templar War is also really good.
Oh yeah, all good.
There are like slight negatives in them all. I think it has to be the final one.
The final fight.
Just for the man, but then Isabella leaving and then not knowing if she's going to come back, and then her coming back in the final moments is really fucking sick. But then also it's like the reason why I think I'm picking Act 3, the final mission Act 3, is because it's like everyone drawing lines in the sand, and it's like like through everything that you've been through with every single member of your party, with them saying, oh, I'm not on your side though. Like I'm not teaming up with you here. I'm actually going to go do this. And it's like, no. And it's like, I need your other companion to be executed in front of me right now, or I'm leaving and I'm going to come back with an army and kill him. Is so crazy. Like there's so much stuff that's like so it breaks like convention of a party game, because everyone decides I'm not on your side though, because it like kind of it brings to fruition everyone's like hard beliefs, and then it forces you as Hawk to be like, but what's your belief? Like what, like your belief, like in what side of this war are you fighting? And it's fucking crazy. It was kind of a moment where I really loved the story of 2, but I think that moment is when I was like, oh, this is the best. This is my favorite of them. Is them saying like, no, you have to. There is no good ending. You're not going to. You're not going to please everyone. People like your friends are going to leave. Your friends are going to die. Your friends are going to side against you. And it's just like it's like the final gut punch of who Hawk is. Hawk just doesn't win ever.
No.
Hawk's whole life is losing and standing up again anyway. And the final mission really like hard solidifies that in but then again, seeing So you side with the Templars. Anders stands against you. Sebastian asks you to kill Anders. Everyone is asking you to kill Anders. People ask you to kill Anders, and then Anders' best friends are like, I think you should fucking kill him. Actually, this is fucking insane what he's doing. And then having moments where it's like Varric is like, I don't care what side we fight on, I'm fighting with you. And Isabella is like, I don't care what side we fight on, I'm fighting with you, Hawk. Like, whatever side you're on, I'm on as well. And like shit like that.
A mix of that. And
it's like those two saying that, and
everybody
also,
else,
like your sibling, you're even not even your sibling is doing that. Your sibling's like, no, I'm siding with these guys. If you don't side with me, then you're my enemy. And then having like, everyone breaking up, and then having someone be like, no, I'm with you. Actually, fuck these guys. Like, I don't care. I'll do horrific things for you because you've done horrific things for me, and we're best friends. It's like, this is the crew. Like, this is my team.
That's the crew.
You know what I mean? And I love that crew so much. And that story is fucking sick. And it has to be like the final like mission and a few missions or whatever of DA2. What's yours?
Mine, similar reasoning, like similar vibes about like how it really like spoke about what Hawk's story is and what Hawk's character is. But the mission where we have to kill the reanimated corpse that's wearing our mother's face. I think that is always one that I always am dreading it in a positive way, because I know it's gonna upset me, it's gonna scare me, and it's gonna like make me feel things, because this is like, okay, this is the last thing that Hawk has lost. And now you've got a house.
Yeah.
Great. You've got money now. Great. Your family is gone. Your sister is either dead or locked up in essentially a lifelong prison. Your brother is either dead or a fucking cop.
Yeah.
Like you're in a your uncle abandoned you and your entire family. You had to do crime to get anything, and now you've inherited the family home, but mom's dead, and you had to kill her. And it's that whole thing.
And so it was like the serial killer quest starts in Act 1 and your mom dies close to the end of Act 2, I think. And it's like, you had the chance to stop this, but you didn't. Like another like weird gut punch of like, hey, you know that guy who you've been hunting and failed to do so? He just so happened to pick and kill your mom. And it's like, man, his life is just bad.
Yeah, it's bad. And then that also triggers the moment where all of your companions come back and visit you at your home and come and check on you, which is also like such a, it also defines that this is not like a random team of people. These Origins and 2 are found family stories. Inquisition and Veilguard are not.
Oh, yeah.
2 is you have no one. Your family either abandoned you, died, some amalgamation of the two. You have nothing. All of your people, they also have nothing and no one. Varric's brother turned on him and then went and died.
Marek's not Marek.
Meryl's
whole team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so you lose everything. You go back home. People come in and check on you.
Yeah.
These people. Yeah. These random people that you've met over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
You know?
This group of some of the worst people you've ever met.
Some of the just truly most dreadful people on earth.
Truly just dog shit people are just the best. And so good
They're
to
the best
you specifically.
To you. Yeah.
Man, I fucking love that game.
Yeah. So that's it for me. All right. Best mission in Inquisition.
It's gotta be either Wicked Eyes, Wicked Hearts, or in Hushed Whispers. Like, jump to... you know what? It's in Hushed Whispers. If I'm to think of, like, it's mission 3 and is so stupidly good.
Yeah.
You time travel a year into the future and find that everything is wrecked because you weren't there specifically. And it's like, oh, I have to win. And then you see you see a bunch of your old companions who are scarred, tortured, burnt, and don't want to talk about it. Especially like Liliana's reaction of like, it's pointless me talking. It happened. You're here and I'm going to die because you're going to go back in time and make it so I don't exist. So what's the point of me telling you what happened to me? Because it's not even like I die and I can have a funeral. I'm not going to exist in a few hours.
And acknowledging something that very few like time travel and like kind of shows acknowledge to me, which is like, yeah, if you end this timeline, we don't live. The versions of us that have been created, we die. We cease to exist.
Yeah.
So, and you are talking to me right now like this is make-believe. We actually lived this last year. Like, we experienced it. So stop fucking talking to me. It's annoying. Like, I don't want to hear you talk to me in hypotheticals.
And that, like, anger that she has in the fact that you try to ask her what happened, is great. And it shows, like, it's just so good of, like, who Liliana is that she's so smart that she doesn't need it explaining. She's already figured it out.
And she doesn't need you to comfort her. She withstood a year of torture, which she withstood years of torture back with Marjolaine.
Yeah.
Back before with her old mentor. And she had to do it again. And she toughened up and she just did it. She kept her goddamn mouth shut and she waited till the moment was right to kill those motherfuckers. And then she did that because Liliana is my wife.
It's the fucking coolest woman in the world.
Yeah. No, I actually will just kind of honorable mention saying Champions of the Just. I hadn't played it in years until we did this playthrough and I did that one. And I'm really glad I did because it really is a great quest also. In Hushed Whispers is going to still win as my number one for Inquisition.
Yeah.
But Champions of the Just is really strong too.
Yeah.
Cole talking to you, whispering to you, and like fighting for you in your own mind that you are trapped in. Like, you are being fought over essentially by two spirits. One that has bad intentions and one that is a spirit of compassion. Like, fighting for you. It also, I think, in a way that is a little bit more intense than in Hushed Whispers, it does give you a lot of like early seeds of like, a lot of people are trusting you with really big decisions and you are gonna become a monster when I get hold of you. When I take over, we're gonna use you to take over the world. You're gonna lock up Josephine in prison for trying to keep you on a path of diplomacy. We're gonna have the Iron Bull studied. Like, we're gonna do all this. We're gonna imprison almost all of Thedas. We'll subjugate them. Sure, we'll close the breach, I'm sure, but we'll get a lot of power in the meantime. It has, it's really, really strong still in Hushed Whispers though. And also as a frequent Dorian Mancer, there's nothing better than that as an introductory quest. And the first flirt option that you get afterwards with him is, there's no one I'd rather be stranded in time with.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
God.
Fucking good.
It's so fucking good.
It's
so
good. Yeah. No, it's fucking sick. What's the hardest choice, do you think? Because I know what mine is. This is in the franchise as well.
I think I know what it is.
We can also workshop.
I have two answers. I have a funny one and a serious one.
Okay. Do funny first.
Is what to name the dog. Is very
you said it's
tough.
Dorkspawn every time.
But here's the thing, naming the dog in 2 specifically. Because I always name my dog in Origins
Dorkspawn. Yeah.
But then what do you name the dog in 2?
I named what did I name the dog? Barkley in Origins,
Yeah.
and then I named the dog in 2 Dorkspawn. So mine was fairly easy, actually.
Yeah, yours was good. Good.
What's your real one?
My real one is the Old God Ritual.
Oh, that's a good one.
Whether to do it, I think it's a really tough decision, and I think it's the best decision because it isn't an either this or that decision. It's a decision that has multiple layers, because if you're a female warden, there's no option for you to do it. If you're a male warden, you can do it. If you are a male warden who has romanced Morgan, then it becomes an easy decision. If you're a male warden who's romanced someone else, it becomes a tougher decision. If you are a male warden, if you are a female warden who has to convince Alistair to do it or you'll die, that's tough. If you're a female warden who's romanced Alistair, even tougher, because that's the only way that you're going to be allowed to be together.
Mm-hmm.
Is if this happens.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to do it. Like, it's got so many different like layers to the choice that affect whether or not this is a tough choice or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it has a consequence that impacts the future games, like point.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Blank. Yeah. And
that's a good one. I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
I think it is. I think it is the best and hardest decision, potentially the hardest decision, definitely the most complex decision.
Yeah, that is a tough one. Yeah, for some reason I didn't even think about that as a decision, because I went into Origins. I started this podcast knowing what I was going to do. So it's like I didn't even think about it as a tough decision.
And you romance Morgan. So your decision was
easy.
Just like, oh, am I going to fuck my wife? Yeah, like, I think
I'm going to fuck my wife.
Yeah, I'll have what she's having.
For me, I think it's Hawk or Alistair in the Fade. That took me a fucking long time to do, because it's not only like a decision of, because if you don't know them, it's fairly easy, I guess. If specifically one of them isn't there, then it's an easy decision. It's the one I don't fucking know.
That's another complicated one, because it could be, it could be Shroud, who gives a fuck.
Yeah.
Could be the warden, but it could also be Logain MacTier. Like,
yeah,
that's
there's weird to, and it's like, because it's like, oh, do you? It's. Because when we did it, we talked about how it's probably easier to pick Hawk because Hawk is you. So you're making the choice to, you're making the choice. Oh, I'll do it. I'll take this. But you are putting a full stop on someone's life then that makes the book of their life just awful. It's like their life is nothing but suffering. But if they leave the Fade, they can have a chance of being happy. They don't need to work with the Inquisition anymore. Varric can help them out. Varric becomes the Viscount of Kirkwall in the future. So it's like you can be pretty certain that Hawk is happy.
You could send their best friend back home to them.
Yeah. And it's a whole thing of but then if fucking Alistair goes, then it's like, well, for who the Grey Wardens are at this point, that's the one person that's going to help them out. That's my best fucking friend. That's the one shot at Grey Wardens being good and honorable. It sucks,
and that's one of the Grey Wardens that has defeated a blight. There's no blight currently when that choice comes to be.
Yeah,
Alistair has done it, and the wardens at Weishaupt didn't go. They didn't go to help Ferelden. Actually,
that's true.
Warden Blackwall, the original Warden Blackwall, that our Blackwall stole the name
from.
I was reading today, had written a letter to Ferelden pleading that Loghain Mactyr let the wardens back into Ferelden so that they can help, and addressed it to the people of Ferelden, being like, we know that you're all dying of the blight. We would love to come. We have been decreed not to be allowed to step foot in Ferelden by Loghain Mactyr. And it's pretty
tough.
Oh, it's pretty sick.
Yeah. And it's someone who, in a weird way, you can imagine that if Alistair lives, the idea of the calling being fixed by the Grey Warden, the hero of Ferelden, will probably be done faster, or it's like you have a direct contact to the hero of Ferelden, because I can't imagine that if Alistair's like, hey, buddy, can you come give me a hand with this thing? Because there's another blight happening, that the hero of Ferelden will be like, oh, yeah, sure, buddy. And then kind of go with Alistair, because they're the boys that did the damn thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I wrote a million years ago, I wrote a really small short fic about Alistair romanced hero of Ferelden, who spent the last however many years in the deep roads, searching for a cure for the calling, so that her and Alistair can be free of it and live a life.
Yeah.
And it's her coming out of the deep roads with a scroll in hand, successful, and getting a raven with Varric's note.
Yeah.
And immediately getting that fucking note.
Jesus Christ.
Walking her away fucking right back in. It's being oh, okay. So I'm going to the Fate then. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. We have a series of questions. Do you have any more questions?
I'm sure I will, but yes, we have more. We've done a couple of these, but yeah.
We have best companion in the whole series.
Shit.
Who did I have with me 100% of the time? Because it also has to be...
I feel like I might have a controversial answer.
What is it? Algren?
Fuck you. Fuck you. I thought we were friends. What is this?
It's a controversial opinion is all I'm saying. It's controversial.
That's not controversial, because controversial would mean that there would be opposing sides. No one thinks Ogren is a good companion.
No, that's why it's controversial, because you think he's the best companion, and everyone else, you're standing against the tide. You're John Wick in this scenario.
Oh my God. No. I just think mildly controversial, but I think it's Cole. I think Cole.
How is Cole controversial? Cole fucks is so great.
I think Cole is great, but I don't think he's a lot of people's favorite companion.
Sure.
I think there's, because Varric exists, and Fenris exists, and Dorian exists.
Okay, there you go. I was about to be like, oh man, I need you to 3-head a Dragon Age 2 companion so I could say that there's my boys. They're my boys right there. Yeah. When I was thinking, I was like, I could say Varric, but then I don't know, I could say Fenris. You just said the people in my mind as I was
In
thinking
order.
of who
Yeah,
my
yeah,
favorite
yeah.
companion is. Controversial opinion. More controversial than yours. It's Sebastian Vale.
Yeah, that's pretty. You know what? The thing is, the Sebastian girlies I know are screaming because they're a small army, but a ferocious one.
Yeah.
The Sebastian
Hey,
girlies.
hey, girlies. Yeah. Me and you. Can we call it Girlies and Robin?
Yeah.
Sebastian, Girlies and Robin, please, because I want to be hanging out with you guys.
Yeah.
If you want to hear me go on a full ass rant about how and why I think Sebastian Vale is the best, go to our Patreon, because in our Dragon Age 2 tier list, I give a hard pitch to put Sebastian Vale in S.
This is the
and
truth.
I convinced Dill to put him in S.
Yeah,
because I tell you, it's, I can't get into it again. Hey, listen, if you want that opinion, go there.
Yeah. You can hear more on the Patreon. Because no, I hear you.
Again, it's like the whole dynamic, the shift that he gives to everyone is perfect. But in a more serious note, that's my joke answer. My serious one is Felicia Day is my favorite companion.
We got to design a Felicia Day's Big Day Out shirt.
That's gotta be one of our shirts.
That's gotta be a shirt. Felicia Day's Big Day Out.
3 shirts, gamers, count them. We got 3 shirts.
I'm gonna get to work on that.
Felicia Day's Big Day Out. I'm gonna make an omelet, and it's Hulk holding Solus's head.
Yeah.
And then, fuck, what was the other one that we did?
The other one was, I've already clipped it, and it's gonna go on socials tomorrow. Is a woman's place is on the front line with the adamant fortress.
Oh, damn.
Damn. So good. Yeah. So
Sebastian Vale, my favorite guy.
Okay. Let's see.
Best character in the whole series is the next question from Raven.
Best character in the whole series.
It's Hawk. Is the best character in the whole series. Thank you so much.
Character meaning player character. I'm
no
guessing.
Character as in character.
Character as and character overall. We should do a separate best protagonist.
Sure.
Best.
Fine. All right. Removing protagonists.
Yeah.
Best character in the whole series. Man, if the Veil Guard was good, it would be Solus. Solus is so deep in
Inquisition,
in the lore and Origins. Solus is in Origins.
That's true.
Solus weaves his way through every aspect of Dragon Age, and whenever we think we know a piece of lore, he changes it. And he's like, actually, you're wrong. This is what happened. Or like the Valashen, we thought we were just like, yeah, it's just Dalish, like tattoos for culture. And then he changed the whole perspective of what that is. He changed how we see spirits and demons.
Yeah. He's great.
He changed how we see elven gods and Alluvians and everything. And then Trespasser, he changes it all again. And that's the problem with him, is that the problem is that now his lore is weird and is a bit icky and doesn't really work or make much sense. And he was
so strong.
It's him. So strong. It's Solus and Varric are the 2 Dragon Age characters.
And I'm going to say I'm answering this question omitting how people from previous games acted in the Veilguard. Because I can't discuss it. So my answer in that case is going to be actually, who is it? Fuck. There's everybody's so amazing. It's Morrigan.
Oh, it's Morrigan.
It's Morrigan.
It must. It almost simply must be Morrigan.
Yeah. She has such a good through line, such a good arc. She's so in Origins you meet her and she is so much more, she's so powerful and so confident until you poke at it. And then you learn that she is so insecure and so desperate for her mother's affection, love, and a sense of safety and trust. Yeah. and she's abrasive and cruel, but it's because she was alienated, because she was pushed away, and because she has had to fight for everything. And yeah, she's got an ulterior goal in mind. She's got a goal for her own survival in mind, and a goal to break her own curse, like her own family curse, this curse that's gonna one day come for her and place the soul of something in her. And then she does. She escapes it, and she unlocks ancient magics like that humans have never had access to.
Mm-hmm.
And then, depending, she fucking eats Mythal's soul anyway, and she's got the soul of Mythal within her, and makes peace with her mother, and like I don't know, she's and she's just always like, she's always there through these major events, making sure she's protecting people without sacrificing the fact that she is looking out for herself as well, and that she is making sure that she is safe. And yeah, and that makes her seem really dangerous and untrustworthy, but she's never been. She's awesome.
Yeah, you're right, actually. You're correct. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah, and especially with, like, you know, there's a thing of all right, I know that you just said because we can't talk about how they were acting in the Belgard, but it's a thing where when she appears in the Veilguard, which is exceedingly early on and then doesn't really do a lot, but she's also very pleasant and affable and like still talks and is like talking to people in a very kind way. And people are like, oh, well, that because that's, you know, she's grown from Inquisition and she's grown from Origins, and it's like, well, but it's still where she always has like her fingers crossed and hand behind her back whenever she is doing nice things. I mean, she only joins you in Orlais in Inquisition because she's like, yeah, but there's a fucking well of souls, and I want to drink it and eat it up. But then also, it's like you can kind of see, and it's the same with Origins, where you can kind of like, it's a thing which has stressed me out in these games where everyone has been saying, oh, the mages will always betray you, and Morrigan doesn't do that at all.
Morrigan does not betray
you. She just has a thing that she wants to do, and then she doesn't force you into it. She's like, you can do it and I will leave because this is kind of why I'm here. But she's doing it because she still helps because she's like, yeah, but it's my...
Yeah.
Like, I want to help you, but she refuses to say, oh, I want to help though. And in Inquisition, she's like doing stuff, and Liliana's like, she's fucking shady, I just don't trust it. And everyone's like, I just don't trust her. And then she's like, I want to help you, I just don't want to outwardly say I want to help you. I want you to accept my help, and I will begrudgingly do it, but I offered my services to you. Like, I want to be good, and I just can't be. And it's cool. And then
it's really good.
And you romance her, and she runs away, and she runs through an Alluvienne and goes into a fucking secret corner of the Fade to raise a child. And yeah.
And the fact that you can follow her.
And I did. It's
crazy. Amazing.
Yeah. And she says the line, I hate you so much. But then she also says the line, you're a good man, Alistair.
Where she says that her son knows that that his father is a good man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
love that.
Incredible. I love her so much. Incredible.
She's also my wife.
She's your wife
so much.
It's true.
Yeah.
No, she's great.
God, but then there's also Liliana, who is
Liliana's look, she's incredible too. Yeah, she's
the fact that
wonderful.
Liliana's in almost the opposite way to Morrigan, where Morrigan keeps fighting the fact that she is ultimately a good person. Liliana is doing the opposite, where Liliana is fighting the fact that she is so apathetic. And you have to fight against her wanting to be bad and do bad stuff in almost an opposition to Morrigan, where you're fighting against her. Kind of, Morrigan will always say a snippy comment, but Liliana will just kill someone, and then you have to be like, Lily, come on, babe, we can't be doing this.
Yeah.
Oh, but it is fine.
Yeah, but Liliana as always trying to fight. The thing is that that's what she was raised to do. She was raised to be.
Yeah, and yes,
spy,
but the thing that's fun in Liliana's story is like you have to fight against her instinct in Origins, but she doesn't change by like if she is left alone away from good influence, she will always slip back into what is easier.
Yeah.
Almost in opposition to Morrigan, who is always doing what is harder.
Yeah.
And cool.
Those two having like a contentious relationship throughout the series, to the fact where they canonically traveled together and fought by each other's side for like 2 years, didn't see each other for a couple years. Morgan shows up at the Inquisition and Liliana is like, yeah, no, I know her. Don't
hate her.
Don't talk to her. But also fucking Morgan, our girl, shows up in the exact dress that Liliana described for her years ago. Liliana said, I would love to see you in something formal. Dark red velvet with gold embroidery. It should be low cut in the front, of course. We don't want to hide your features. And Morgan, years later, was like, I need a formal dress. You know what? One was described to me once. I'll let's make it that. And wears exactly that dress.
Morgan also has there are a lot of characters that Morgan has relationships with outside of you in a thing, which I think is really cool, because they're almost all negative. It's like Liliana and Alistair and stuff like that. Like they all have opinions on Flemeth. They all have opinions on her as someone, and it's the thing where you speak to them and they're like, oh, she's an awful hag of a woman, she's evil and I hate her. And Morrigan's like, I taught our son, like my son knows that his father was a good man, and oh hey, I'm wearing that dress that you described, I'm turning up in it.
And I'm here to help. 8
years later. I'm here to help you, by the way.
And I'm here to help.
And it's like no one likes her and she likes everyone so much.
Yeah. She likes you so much.
Favorite lore fact from the series? My favorite lore fact is that Kirkwall is the greatest city in the world.
It's a pretty good one, actually. Yeah, it's pretty good. I think...
Oh my God, best character in the whole series is the Architect. I'm so sorry. I said a different answer and I just realized that the best character in the whole series is the Architect, because there is nary an episode where I don't mention the fact that he has the best storyline and I want to see him again.
Before we do lore fact, favorite protagonist? Yours is Hawk.
I think I to the point where I'm going to argue with you now.
Oh, okay, great.
Hawk is a character, is the thing. When it comes to protagonists, the Warden is great. The Warden is ultimately you. The Inquisitor is very good. Less you, but still very, it's very you.
It's very
coded and put.
In who they
Hawk is not only a fully fleshed out character that goes on their own journey. Hawk is you as well, because you can point Hawk in a direction, but Hawk will always pull to a kind of neutral state which is fully fleshed. If you didn't interact with the character of Origins, if you didn't interact with the Inquisitor in Inquisition, you would walk away with no opinion on either, because you have to build that story. We built a story for our Hawks, and if you don't like interact or like engage with Hawk at all, they walk away a fully fleshed out character still. They are a person.
No, I agree with you.
Even so, we had different Hawks. You can make
for sure
someone who's a completely different Hawk. And it's like, to be able to manage to have a fully customizable character and have a character who is just a person and someone who already lives and breathes in the world is a crazy form of talent that I've not seen in a game, like, ever.
No, the writers went absolutely bat crunk with
and Hawk is just is I don't know. There's just so much about him. They're a person who, my favorite archetype, it has had nothing but bad things happen to them and almost continues to do good for the sake of the fact that it just is not even do good, just survive their people.
Just trying. Yeah, they're just trying. And their life sucks.
And the thing is,
devastating.
You have Morrigan, Liliana, you have Alistair, who are who adventured in with the original gang and the original Grey Warden. You have Solus, and you have Dorian and Cass. Oh God, Cass, I love you. And Cole, who traveled with the Inquisitor. But then you have Varric and Isabella and Anders and Sebastian Vale, who traveled with Hawk, and the impact that Hawk had on those characters is so much IMO is so much heavier than the impact that the Inquisitor or the Hero Ferelden had on their party.
I agree about the Hero Ferelden.
Sure.
I don't know that I agree about the Inquisitor. I think the Inquisitor has a lot of influence on party members.
Has influence on party members, yes, but it's like I like Varric, like, you know, hides Hawk. Sebastian still talks about them like in war table notes. It's like that the impact that Hawk had on their lives, rather than, because the Inquisitor has like the thing is about Inquisition is that those characters are full successful people in their field and, you know, go on to continue to be fully successful people in their fields because they're, you know,
because they've been asked to join the Inquisition. It's a different scenario. It's like
exactly
Kirkwall, you're all outcasts who, and Origins too, you're kind of all like outcasts and people without a, you know, without a place in society. But
Hawk like gives the outcasts the spark to fully like become the people that the Inquisition want to pick up. And it's just I think the impact on like the personal fire that Hawk lights in the people is I don't know, it's just huge. And I just think I don't know. I obviously get very excited about Hawk because I think Hawk is just the coolest. But yeah, for me it's so easy for me to say that Hawk is the best.
Yeah. I think that my answer to this is pretty controversial overall, but I think that my favorite protagonist is the Inquisitor. I think that the Warden is so customizable and such a classic roleplay character that you have to put into it a lot to make that character feel like a person. Hawk is kind of a swing in the other direction where they're so pre-written that you then also have to do a little bit of work to kind of make them your person. Otherwise they're gonna be who they are. And then the Inquisitor is kind of, to me, a bit of a balance in that. Like, I have a lot to customize, I have a lot to work with, and a lot to like to work to role play with, but they also have a very clear theme, a very clear like journey to go on. Their story, like, and how they are tied to the events of the game is very emotionally engaging to me. Like, the fact that they literally don't have a choice. You know, like, I think there's somebody has a line somewhere in that game that's like, yeah, if I didn't want to participate, they'd probably just muzzle me and handcuff me and wheeled me around Thetis, throwing my hand at the sky.
Yeah.
Like, because they need me. The only reason that they're letting me lead right now is because I'm
playing ball,
participating.
and
Yeah. And like but the Inquisitor has just like such a there's a lot to their emotional journey. They have a good story, but they are still pretty customizable in a way that is like gives me a good chance to role play. So yeah, I think that's my answer.
Nice. No, that's good. I understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
I know. All right, so favorite lore fact is where we didn't answer that one. Yeah.
Oh, there's just so much that. It's. I think the Titans, are really fucking sick.
Yeah.
And I would actually love to see more of them.
Yeah, same.
Or what was originally intended for them. I think these like secret gods that are still alive and just existing, and I don't know what the Titans are even doing, biding their time. They lost a war against the elven gods and are now there's a whole legion of dwarves that live, a whole city that lives and knows that the Titans exist, and everyone else thinks they're gone. And the Titans can actively give magic back to dwarves. That the whole thing is just so cool.
Yeah.
The implications of everything that happens is so interesting.
I mean, truthfully, that's what I wanted. That's kind of what I wanted Veilguard to be. I wanted it to be that like Solus tears down the veil, and now people who have not had magic suddenly have magic.
Yeah, I mean, the art book has Solus resurrects a Titan that lived under that Manrathis was built on. Solus resurrects it to fight Gillenane, and that's fucking crazy. And just the coolest kind of idea of Harding almost single-handedly like bringing magic back because now she can speak to the stone. Cool idea in theory. It just doesn't. They just don't do it. And the problem is like I wanted that to be the story.
The story. Instead, it's like the story was figuring out that that's what the story is. Is that a good summary of what Veilguard is like as a game? Is that like
it's just
every quest is figuring out what the story is instead of doing the story?
I mean, I guess, but even so, like the story of the Veilguard, twists and all, is solved at Demeter's Crossing, almost like mission 2. It's like, hey, so Solus is trapped in the Fade. They brought these old gods, these 2 old gods out.
Yeah.
These old gods can control the Blight. And by the way, the Blight is a thing. And it's like, oh, okay. Yeah. And then you just spend the whole game solving that.
To the point where figuring out what Solus's like story was not important to solving the issue. It only is important in like your ability to appeal to him to get a different, like a certain ending, but you can still defeat him without knowing what his story was.
After last episode, I was like, during actually last episode, I said, I want us to wait till after call, and I'm going to show you the fight Solus ending of the Veilguard, and it was cool, right? It's fun.
Cool.
Yeah. And I didn't get the super secret special ending. I got an ending which I was like, oh, nice. Okay, there. That makes sense to me.
Did you watch the Soul of Ellen ending?
No,
I watched that today.
Yeah.
It's It's the same ending I got, but so like in my ending, and I hadn't told you this, I forgot about it. In my ending, Mythal like comes out of the idol to, and so does Morgan, because Morgan has a bit of Mythal in her, and the idol has another fragment of Mythal, and the two of them together like speak to Solus as their old best friend, like, you know, begging them to like make amends with them, and that they're like, she's releasing them from her service, so he's no longer bound to her, etc. And also the Inquisitor shows up. And in mine, the Inquisitor showed up and Solus is like, my friend, like, I'm sorry, I know that I hurt and betrayed you, but
Yeah.
I've come too far and I've hurt too many people to get here. If I don't finish it, all of that death is for nothing, which I think is interesting. In the Soul of Ellen one, that all still happens. But then afterwards, and after Mythal convinces him to bind himself and make amends, Llewellyn agrees to go with him. And that's like the real main difference. The other thing, though, is that the two of them talk a lot in Elven, which I did like, because that is a thing that I didn't love about Inquisition, is that like an Elven Inquisitor and Solus like never really, like, he spends all of Inquisition condescending to you about your own heritage. And so I did like the progression of Llewellyn showing up and just the two of them speaking to each other exclusively in their language.
Yeah,
and,
that is cool.
And I thought that was a good, solid, like progression of that story arc.
Yeah.
So I liked that, and then they go into the Fade together to try to calm the blight, I think is the goal, and do things to make up for Solus's past.
Sure. Nice.
Yeah.
What's your favorite lore fact?
Fact, not theory. Fact, not a thing that I assume about the series. Fact.
I mean, it's down to interpretation. I mean, I guess you could do.
Yeah, but I have a lot of things that get crossed wired, so I have to check myself.
Yeah, sure. You have to untangle it.
Yeah. But I think mine is the whole tranquil issue. The entirety of it. The fact that this ritual was created so that the first Templars that became the Seekers could get their abilities, and that it was discovered by the Templars, and like so this is an example of good Dragon Age like lore building, is when they draw, you know, inspiration from real life, and it's like, okay, a really powerful institution that maybe had the inception, the idea of it at inception was to keep people safe and keep mages safe and just prevent mages from accidentally getting turned into abominations and killing and hurting people. Maybe that was the intention, but in pursuing that intention, they got power. They had power over others, and then they obtained information on how to erase someone's free will.
Yeah.
And you give a cop the ability to erase someone's free will, they're gonna weaponize it. They're gonna do it, and they're gonna do it en masse. They're gonna do it over disputes, over like breakups. There are stories we encounter all the way back in Origins of like a Templar and a mage had a romantic relationship that ended, and the Templar,
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. There's all these kinds of stories of just like a mage talks out of line or whatever it is, and they do that. And then we have the tranquil solution gets proposed, where it's just like, this is just a punishment now that we
Yeah.
just do when a mage breaks the law or acts
Mhm.
out of line. Instead of putting them in jail, we're just going to make them tranquil. It's irreversible. It's
Jesus.
permanent. It's horrible. It's a nightmarish concept. But
Mm.
when you have a class of people who have abject control over another class of people, if a bad thing exists in the world, they will abuse it against those
Yeah, of
people.
course,
And
yeah.
that is like I think it's one of those things where it's a horrible piece of lore, but it's my favorite because um it is so relatable to real life, but fully bought into the fantasy world. Like there's no,
Mhm.
it's not a one-to-one, it's not a copy paste, but you can see it in our own reality. You can
Mhm.
see the allusions to our own reality in it, even though it fully fits inside this fantasy world. And then to learn that it is completely reversible and has been this whole time, and that people in power likely have known this,
Mhm.
and and it never had to be this weapon
Yeah.
against these people. And
Yeah.
for us to learn this so late in the game um is such a heartbreaking like revelation. It's just such a bitter and horrible truth. Um and
And
I
and the fact
yeah
that you speak to the old Inquisitor, and then I think he brings it up, or like he brings up the old Seekers, and I don't know if
yeah
tranquilling people was a thing at that time.
yeah
Um but then it's like, even with that knowledge, you just have to trust that Cass will do something about it. Like
yeah
it's really like, you have to put it in the hands of someone who is a seeker first and foremost. Like, that's her gig,
right
and you just got to be like, I really hope that you have learnt
yeah
enough about the world to understand that you can't do this.
yeah
um
and someone that when you first met was pretty distrustful of mages.
yeah. and
Like
and and the fact that it's like, that's kind of, again, going back to the old Inquisitor, that's his story, is that he put all of these building blocks up, and then when he left, it was found out that the foundations of those building blocks was him, and everything just crumbles immediately as soon as he goes. And it's like, and then with the knowledge that the same thing is going to happen to you as soon as you leave, are you so foundational to this, to like goodness in this way, that um that if you leave, it's going to turn out that you're the only foundation, and everyone is just going to go back to doing the easiest thing to do, which is, for Cass, like, yeah, fuck it, it just stays the same. I'm making the
mm-hmm.
Seekers again, and this was the thing that we all understood, and yeah, and shit like that. Anyway,
Yeah,
yeah, that is cool.
that's good.
That's a real good one, buddy.
Buddy, so good.
Buddy. Actually, you know what? So our next question is, what was the coolest twist that any of these games took? And I'm going to say, I actually think it might be that. I think it might be the tranquil.
That's a really strong
Tranquil
twist.
being a almost man-made, manufactured thing is crazy. And
Being a manufactured thing that is completely survivable and completely reversible
yeah, and
does
people
not have to be
know how to
permanent.
do it. It's just no one does.
They're just not sharing that information. Yeah, devastating actually.
Truly.
I think I might agree with you. I'm just trying to kind of circle through some.
What are like huge twists in it? Valashen being slave markings is one of them.
That is that's a huge
That's a
twist.
big lore one. I mean,
Yeah,
Solus being the Dreadwolf is another big one, I guess.
that is. No, it is for sure. Um Flemeth being Mythal. or having the fragment of Mythal within her. That's a big
that's
one.
crazy.
That's a really big one, I think.
That's a crazy one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fucking Anders blowing up the
Anders blowing up. That might be the biggest twist. And I think the thing is that I as much as I hate that man, I think that I might think that is the biggest twist. Because that is like,
because regardless of who you are to him, he fucks you over.
He can't. Yeah, he has. Which I do. I like. I hate him, but I love that in a character is that like they're so convicted on this thing that there is no way to, to convince them.
And it also brings up questions of like how much is vengeance in Anders? Like how much of vengeance is like almost controlling him? Like he has such blinders on that it doesn't matter. He's going to get his, and he's gonna get his by starting a war that kills hundreds of thousands of people. But who cares? I blew up a chantry.
I think is that because justice was the spirit that entered Anders.
And then
Anders turned justice into vengeance by having so much justified hate in his heart.
Yeah.
That he made justice into vengeance. Yeah.
Yeah. There is also, I mean, the thing is that I think there's not to dismiss kind of that, but spirits are fairly easy to manipulate. Solus says that if they do anything that's not what they're supposed to, they immediately switch.
Yeah.
And I mean, Anders isn't. What is Anders going to do? Because Justice going into Anders then immediately has to turn himself in, or Justice is just going to get switched immediately because it's like, oh well, Justice is that you know,
pretty much
do justice, and then he doesn't, and then Anders might interpret that as, I had so much hate in my heart, but it's also like, yeah, you did, but also you didn't do to Justice what Justice needed to stay Justice. Like the only reason Justice was Justice for so long is because it had control of itself. You doing like Anders doing anything one way or the other is going to warp that mindset. So that might also be a part of it, is that Anders fully just had a demon in him for, years. Big twist is that Grey Wardens have to die as well. That's another one.
God, I was just thinking, I was like, I feel like one of the earlier twists might be the biggest one. Yeah. Finding out that as a Grey Warden, finding out at the end of this that the only way to actually kill an archdemon is not just to be a Grey Warden, but to be a Grey Warden and die.
Yeah.
Because also that comes with a big lore drop, which is that there's a soul inside that archdemon, an old god soul fragment, and it needs somewhere to go, and it will just go into the next one, and we will have another blight within the year.
Yeah.
You being there is the only way, because that soul will enter you, and because you have the blight, it will go into you and you will die with it. And that's it. I think that's mine. I think that is mine. I was just like, there are a lot of great twists that are deeply personal to you. Like the Valisline one is revealed in such a personal moment.
The thing which I'm trying to think of is a lot of the twists I knew beforehand, so they weren't twists, they were just kind of like lore information. Like I knew that a Grey Warden had to die.
You knew
something was up. Yeah, just because I knew that you would die at the end. I knew Anders blew up the Chantry. I knew that Solus,
right, just from being exposed to Dragon Age,
to the world,
fandom and stuff like that. Yeah,
but so for me, it's the Tranquil thing, because I didn't know about that at all.
That's a big one.
Or Mythal is also a big pitch for that.
Mythal is a great one. Hello, kitty cat.
Cat is screaming at me to be scratched.
Way to go, baby.
Good kitty. Yeah, so I think it might be that for me.
Yeah, I like that. That's good.
Oh my god, not to bring up my main boy again, but
Do
also
it.
the fact that Darkspawn can have thoughts and feelings and ideas might also be another one.
Totally. No, you know what? As much as I didn't really enjoy the experience of playing that DLC, that is a huge twist. And that has huge implications like that for the
Yeah.
world at large. Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Favorite mission all games.
For mission all games? Didn't we? Oh no, we did it. Oh,
Yeah, by game. What favorite
Yeah.
mission? Whole series. Your cat sent a message.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Silly cat. Now people know exactly the time that we record. Okay, I'm going to consult the notes. I'm consulting the notes, I think.
Do it.
I think this one's a tad too big for me.
It's a big one. It's a big one.
All, huh? Okay. Wondering. Now here's the crazy thing. I'm wondering if it's going to be different to one of my favorites. If it's going to be different to one of my favorites individually. No, because I can't necessarily remember. Okay. Because I was like, man, I liked Awakening so much that the final mission of Awakening, when you confront the architect and you have a full intellectual conversation with them, is so big Dragon Age vibes from it.
Great Dragon Age vibes.
Great Dragon Age vibes from it. It might be the Brazilian Forest, I think. Because if I'm to do favorite mission, I think I have to think of now that we're talking outside context of games, I need to think of how fun it is to actually play. DA2, I think story-wise and implications is my absolute fave. It is not fun to moment play, so it can't win.
So it can't be. It can't be overall. Yeah, no,
it can't be
that
overall.
makes sense.
Even though I think it's funner, it can't really be overall. But yeah, so it might be the Brazilian Forest, I think. I just think it's the coolest shit ever. And the thing is that Trespasser is so great, but I didn't play me in Trespasser, so it's really hard for me to be super gun-ho for it to be the best. Because I technically didn't play it. I wasn't hell in. Almost weirdly the same reason why you really can't get behind Awakening.
Yeah.
So I think it's the Brazilian Forest. I think is overall the best, just because genuinely Origins is wall to wall winners. There is nary a moment in Dragon Age Origins where I did a mission and I wasn't like, that was one of the best things I've ever done, actually. I'm so fucking excited about this.
It's very true.
Why when people are like, oh, which Dragon Age game should I start with? I'm like, Origins. I know it's old, but it's so perfect in every way.
It's such a good fucking game. The graphics are old. Get over it.
Who cares?
Just slog through it. Yeah. In Hush Whispers.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think it's so perfect. Yeah, I think it's so perfect. Mm-hmm. And I only, the thing is that I would say Orzammar, I would say the Deep Roads. It's just that and this is totally just the technological advancement and the way that they're able to execute in Hush Whispers. They're both, to me, they're like, the emotional resonance of them is so good. The story of them is so good. They're executed so well. But then when you add in the fact that in Hush Whispers, I get to watch Liliana fucking choke a man out with her thighs.
Sicko mode.
And go sicko mode. And those the just cinematography of it all. The way I feel when I play in Hushed Whispers is the thing that makes me buy into Inquisition. Like when I'm playing as the Inquisitor, as soon as I do that mission, the Inquisitor becomes real, like to me in that mission, and it's so good. Yeah.
No, that is good. What would you have wanted to see in the series going forward, whether geographically or narratively? You know what? Do you know what the thing is? I want it to be north, and I want it to just be. I want a Kirkwall in Minrathous.
In Minrathous, yeah. That is what I wanted geographically.
That was the thing. A big reason why I did not like Veilguard is that nowhere felt real. You're just hopping, teleporting from one place to the other. I want to know Minrathous like the back of my fucking hand. Like I want to, because the thing is also you only go through Docktown and it's fucking boring. I want to go through Minrathous. Like I want to know the different areas and the different vibes. I want to go up to that cool, weird prison palace, but without there being a big blight. Like, I just want to go up there and see how fucked it is normally. I don't want the Venatori to make a peep. I don't like them as enemies even a little bit.
It's such a cop out because the Venatori are like Tevinter's supremacists. We also know that Tevinter's magisterium is full of corrupt magisters. There are only 7 of them. There are only 7 of them, by the way. We kill a bunch of them in this game. There are canonically only 7 magisters from the 7 houses in Minrathous.
Oh my god!
Who all elect a magister.
That's the game. The game to me is you are in Minrathous and you are doing a full rebel coup against the 7 magisters, and the game is, you know how the treaties in Dragon Age, you can kind of do them in any order in Origins? It's that. It's like, who are we killing first? Not who are we killing first? We have 7 of them to go. And each of them are like a weird arc mission in a unique place that we're going through, and you're just figuring out how to get around them. They get harder with each magister that dies. It's like if you're halfway through one mission and then you hard pivot and you start another one and you finish it, the missions that you've done is like, we can't do that anymore because you killed one of them and now they know that we're coming. So we have to figure out this other way around it and shit like that. That'll be sick.
That is really sick. Here is my pitch. My pitch is the game takes place in Minrathous. We've tracked Solus here to this place. Beginning of the game is Solus tears down the veil. He does it. He tears down the veil. He re-imprisons the gods. Magic and returns to Thedas in a flood, an overwhelming flood that causes immediate devastation. Demons are everywhere. People who've never had magic before. All of the elves get magic back. All of the dwarves get magic back. Chaos erupts throughout Thedas. And Solus's journey is that he now has to actually face deep regret. Regret still is a theme of his character, but in this one it actually makes sense because he has to watch. The last time he did this and then he went to sleep for a million years. He didn't have to watch the destruction happen in real time. This time he has to watch it happen in front of him. He sees we can see Southern Thedas and the Inquisitor, his friend, potentially his lover, like fall, maybe even die. Like maybe he really has to suffer. And he reluctantly joins up with us, which the original pitch for Rook was that Rook was somebody the Inquisitor found and was like, I need someone in the north. I have my hands full down here. I need and the Inquisitor is like, Solus is redeemable. I know him. He is not the one-sided monster you think he is. You can work with him. And but I need to trust you, and sends you and sends Varric to work with you. You team up with Solus, who is questionable, untrustworthy, faltering, and possibly has another ulterior motive, but ultimately is steeped in regret, does not like that he is responsible for this, but is still happy that the magic has come back. And so there is this kind of push and pull between you about whether or not you can fully trust him. In pursuit of a way to control the chaos without putting the veil back up and letting the world be the world that Solus was trying to restore, but end the suffering that the chaos is causing. We need the most powerful magic in the world. And 7 people, the most powerful mages in all of Thedas, are those people. One of them is Dorian Pavis. Great. We got him. The other 6 are monsters who have just been forced to not do slavery, like sometime within the last 2 years, because they're so evil. So convincing them is going to be maybe impossible. So we might have to replace them, which can be done. Altuses can be appointed by other magisters, and you have Dorian in your corner, but something's going to have to happen. Maybe some of those magisters can be reasoned with. Maybe some of them have sympathetic bloodlines that we can encourage to replace them. Maybe some of them just straight up have to be assassinated, and we have to use the Antivan Crows, and we have to go with and partner with them and get those magisters assassinated and have someone fill in for their place. And the end game is, at the end, we now have 7 of the most powerful and learned magicians in all of Thedas in our corner, ready to help us crack the code and figure out a way to calm the chaos of all this raw magic pouring into the world. We do it, and we can calm Thedas, but leaving it still a place where magic has been restored to those that it was cut off from. And Solus still needs to be a part of that to redeem himself. If he, in order to do that, I think that would have been a more interesting story. We would have spent a lot of time in Minrathous and Treviso still. We would have really spent time there in the cities.
Yeah.
Like learning about
what was missing from it, is that you don't spend time in the best bit of Minrathous is literally the opening where you see it at night and it's beautiful. And then as far as I'm aware, every single time you see it post is daytime. And that's the thing, is like, I want to see more of it. I want to see what it's all about. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it would be cool. That would be sick. I'd be into it. Yeah. Speaking of magisters, I'd love to fucking know what happened when it comes to like Corypheus and the Architect. I want to know if they knew each other. I want to know if it happened at the same time. It that the 7 magisters are all weird Darkspawn things that are just in the world still? I just want to know more about those. That would be fucking sick. And that's what we could do, is if we had a story with the magisters as like a prime plot, being like, so what happened all those years ago? Like, what is it? Is it a thing that you're happy about? Is it a thing that these magisters must know? And that would just be a cool plot point. That would be a cool
plot line that we could then bring back in the Morn Watchers. All right, so now we want the Morn Watchers to be a part of this. We have magisters that we are trying to get on our side. Maybe one of the houses wants to know about their lineage, and they have allegations that their family line is tied to Corypheus, because in Inquisition, that is a real thing that comes up, is that guy was a magister, and magisterium, the magisters are passed down by bloodline. That one guy, he has allegations that his family line is tied to Corypheus, and all the other magisters want him out now. He says, you know what? You want me on your side? You figure out a way to clear my name from this, and you go to the Morn Watch.
You go to the Morn Watch and you figure out, and the Morn Watch is like, well, I mean, we can get to it, but I mean, it's in this like weird language that we don't know, and it's in this weird place in the world, and we just don't have vessels and ships that we can get to, or treasure hunters, or people that know this, like dungeon delvers. And it's like, oh, let's bring in the Lords of Fortune if you want
There
to
you
bring
go.
in that. And then
Yeah.
the Lords of Fortune are added in by being like, we are pirates and treasure hunters. We can find your weird dead body that you're looking for. This one specific guy. We can tell you where he went.
Yeah.
We can get it. We can get it all.
Yeah.
And, beans, we know for a fact that these Magisters are full of Darkspawn blood. How are we going to fix this if they go AWOL and we need them killed? Get a fucking bunch of Grey Wardens on. And then the Grey Wardens are in. You go to Weissapt and you're like, hey, we're on this dangerous mission to kill some of the original Darkspawn. Do you want in? And they say yes, and they hop along with you.
Yeah. Also, I just realized this today. I was actually talking to Drac and was just like midway through talking about something else. I was like, there's nothing in Davrin's quest about the fucking Monster Hunter book at the end.
Oh my god.
Wait, they don't ever close that
They
chapter.
don't bring it up again.
They never bring it back up again.
That was like a prime bit of conversation from him, that he was actively doing it. And it was a cool thing because he's like, yeah, all of the Monster Hunter books are written by mages that have had no frontline experience. That's why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Isn't that why he's always carving as well? Fucking hell, this game, man.
So that leads me to another avenue where Davrin would still possibly be a really good, strong character in this new storyline that we've crafted. Is that, you're trying to create a book that is a Monster Hunter book that is written by actual monster hunters, which the Grey Wardens objectively are the actual people on the ground doing that. Yeah. And you're doing that in opposition to the mages that we're trying to gain the support of. Those are the people that have historically written these books. We could put that in as a central conflict, is like, is it maybe going to be a thing that makes it harder for us to get support if we support Davrin in pursuing this book? Are we going to cause conflict with one of the Magisters?
Yeah.
And then maybe maybe there was a way to convince him, but now we have to use violence. And maybe,
Hey, magic has been reintroduced into the world. Dwarves are freaking the fuck out. Ozamar is in such heavy turmoil. Who comes along but Kal Sharok? And they're like, yeah, we know about dwarves being so... we know about how dwarves having magic. That's part of us and our culture. You're now going to have to broker a very, very reluctant peace between the two. And then Harding can still be in, and that storyline's still knocking around. I'm trying to get them all in.
I am too, except I think that Lace Harding should still be. I think Lace Harding should have replaced Liliana as the number one assassin for the Inquisition, because I think that a storyline where magic comes back to the dwarves, there is one person. There is only one person.
Is it Dagna?
It's Dagna, only fucking dwarf to go to magic school ever. Despite the fact that dwarves can't do magic.
That is actually something that I thought was interesting, because as I was playing, I finished Harding's story and I was talking to Kai, who's my housemate, and they were like, is Dagna in it? Dagna should be in it, right? Because she's the only dwarf to go to magic school. And I was like, she's not even mentioned. That's what's fucking insane. She was
not even mentioned.
She was in the Inquisition. I would have thought, whilst Harding was reminiscing about the Inquisition, she would have been like, oh my god, I should speak to Dagna about this.
Oh, holy shit, there's a dwarf that knows tons about magic.
Yeah. And speak to them, maybe.
The best enchanter that the Mage College has ever seen. I should probably reach out to her. Maybe a lot of my troubles would go away if I just reached out to
Maybe
Dagna.
I don't need to just pensively look out over a field of mountains and say, I'll figure it out. I should speak to someone who's figured it out.
Who's fucking figured it out? Who
and
probably
is a friend?
Yeah,
like
and
someone
is allegedly a friend. Dagna felt one rumble under her feet and went, okay, hang on. And and is somewhere in southern Thetis right now, completely having a handle on all of this. Like, that would be it's just like,
Rook goes to the Inquisitor in the Veilguard and is like, yeah, I know, it's crazy, and Harding has magic, and the Inquisitor's like, oh shit, that's going really well for us, yeah, because Dagna's still knocking around, and she's got it. She's got it all sorted. And Rook's like, oh, yeah, Harding's having a real hard time with it.
Yeah. The
like,
South is actually fine.
The South is fine because the Inquisitor is there and Dagna's knocking around, and it's just a bunch of competent people. Yeah. They have a handle on it, so it's way calmer, but it's more interesting because there's a little bit of infighting, and it's interesting in some way.
Yeah, because I mean, now the Harrowmonts have magic, so there's a downside.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That would be so crazy, is if they had a follow-up quest, which was, it was like, they asked the question, who took charge? And then in the fourth game, it comes back as like, it's those two houses again. They're back at it, but now both of them have magic, and it's
fucking
war
magic
in Ozamar. It's like brutal. But it's like, it's those two houses are fully vying for control because one of them won over the other, and it's been it is a schism in like the foundation of Ozamar that has never really healed in the 15 years since it happened. Not only that, all of the castless dwarves are full on rebelling now because they have magic, and also this like crazy.
Yeah.
They're all like, they have this huge criminal network, and they were like, oh, we can cast fireballs from our hands. We can fully turn invisible. This is awesome.
Oh, it's over. And we have we already have an underground tunnel system that leads directly into your fucking palace, buddy. Yeah. And now I can cast bomb with my hands. So you're now I can set your blood on fire.
It would be so funny to have a quest where there is a nobleman or a noble family in a palace who you have to go in because there is like a castless dwarf who is threatening like all of this crazy stuff to kill them, and you go in and you're speaking to the dwarf trying to do a hostage situation, and the dwarf's like, oh, I'm gonna do this crazy stuff, like I'm gonna resurrect all, like a bunch of people, all the ghosts that you've ever bullied are gonna come back. But if you're a mage, you can say, you can't do that with magic. No one's ever done that before. Like, you can't, like, you're just talking out your ass. You're lying about the things that you can do because none of this is possible with magic. And then that's how you diffuse the situation, is you just kind of have to prove that you know more than them about magic. That would be such a goofy, fun quest.
Because it's new for everybody. And like,
and no one really knows.
And
so it's like this dwarven family who have never left Ozamar are horrified at this person talking about all the things that they're going to do to them. And then you turn up and you're like, you can't do that. Can you arrest this guy? You can't do that.
And then if we bring Dagna into this storyline, and Dagna, it replaces Harding, which makes so much more sense in every single way, then I wouldn't need her to be like a main character in this story, but a side quest about Sarah, who can potentially be romancing Dagna at the end of Inquisition. Sarah, who hates magic. If the veil comes down, she's got it.
Oh my God.
And she hates it. It freaks her out. It's terrifying to her. A Dagna personal quest could be like, my either friend or partner is losing it. Yeah. And I can't help you until this is fixed. And we find out, I mean, personally, I wanted Sarah to also have like a fragment of Andril in her. I don't think in any circumstance I would get that. But it does seem like she knows things in Inquisition that she shouldn't know. Like, she learned how to shoot a bow on instinct.
Sure.
And she also repeatedly talks about this sense that she's seen everything before.
Mm-hmm.
Like when she goes to places that she's never been, she's like, I've been here.
Sure.
And like, or like, this has happened already.
Yeah.
And it's like, I just think that she has maybe a fragment of a trapped god or something like that. But at the very least, the veil comes down. She's getting magic that she does
Big
not
magic.
want
Mm.
to have, and that would be a cool storyline. We could also, it's a good chance to evolve a new character, because we've done a lot of like evolving of these characters from origins that have a nice through line.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I would love to see one of the Inquisition characters then, like a character that was introduced in Inquisition, get a nice character growth arc.
Yeah.
We do not get that with Harding. We get a
No.
devolution, if anything. But I would love to see like, okay, Sarah joins the Inquisition as like a 21-year-old. Now we revisit her years later. This is,
she's like mid-30s or whatever.
Yeah. This is a like, let's, and she's going through a crisis, but she's a tougher, you know, more grown version of herself.
Leader of the Red Jennies now.
Leader of the Red Jennies. Yeah. So that would be cool.
That would be cool.
Oh, I love this game. All right, little question. What was your opinion on Solas's flashback hair?
I hated it. I thought it looked stupid. I thought it looked stupid. That's the end of it. I thought it looked dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The problem is like giving Solus like a hair would make Solus look a bit dumb, because his face is made to be bald. Some people's faces are just made to be bald, unfortunately, and Solus is one of them.
The thing is that I think they needed to change his look a little bit more and like age. Because, okay, so this is something I know about a behind the scenes choice about Solus's design in Inquisition, is that they specifically designed him in a way that would make him age ambiguous.
Yeah, sure.
Making his eyes small in comparison to the rest of his face was like a conscious choice, because like, you want to, because big eyes read as young no matter what.
Sure.
And he doesn't appear to be young. Like, he doesn't have wrinkles on his face. They didn't give him hair because they didn't want to give him gray hair, but giving him like a full head of hair would be deceptive in a way that they couldn't justify at the end. So they designed everything about his look so that when it is revealed that he is ancient, that he is so far beyond your years, there was no way for you to tell.
I'm gonna lose my fucking mind. I'm so sorry. I'm just looking. I found someone just uploaded the Art of Dragon Age: The Veilguard as a PDF. Guess who one of your advisors is? An awakened Darkspawn is one of the advisors of the original advisors of Rook. Is fully a Darkspawn who can.
I'm gonna do a crime. I'm gonna kill. I'm gonna do a. I'm gonna do a crime.
I'm gonna lose my fucking mind. Dorian was one. Isabella was one. An awakened Darkspawn was another.
I'm gonna kill. JK! I would never cause harm to another human being. Ever.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you. I was just scrolling through the art book casually whilst listening.
Glad that
and then
you
I saw
me
Isabella,
with that.
and then it was like I saw Isabella and a big title that said advisors, and then I scrolled up a little and I was like, that's a corpse. And then I scrolled in and it was like an awakened Darkspawn. Morrigan is also there, it looks like, but she looks way different. She looks more like Flemeth than she does.
That is cool. If you're gonna tell me that somehow like the fragment of Mythal has like has taken root in her, like I would love for her to look a little different. Ooh, 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 ooh. Oh, God. Oh, my heart just got really. I genuinely, like, I feel an actual, like, pain in my chest a little bit
There's
for what we
full
could have
ass
had.
a storyline art here that I'm looking at. This is, yeah, it's crazy. There's sparking an uprising in Tevinter, an aquatic infiltration in Tevinter. You're like infiltrating Tevinter in some way. Solus interacting with you in dreams, but in like a really kind of weird, fucked up way. There's like a scene of you like falling through a really bright landscape as the Dreadwolf
Oh,
like eats you and stuff. Yeah.
yeah. Like the Fade being a freaky place. Like the Fade has been so consistently good in these games. It's been so weird and disorienting and freaky, and I just would rather they not send us there at all.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So, it has. So it looks like, from what I'm looking at. Oh, Gilganane looks so fucking sick of this. So the same. It looks like it's like you go and you infiltrate Tevinter. You meet the Archon of Tevinter, and then you go to stop Solus's ritual, and Elganon and Gilganane escape. But the thing I laughed at is it's a picture of a war table. First of all, this is going to be upsetting for you and me specifically. It looks like the original team name is the Patchwork Team, because it says the Patchwork Team doesn't get along at first.
Oh, I'm going to be sick. Oh, I'm going to be sick. Oh my God, I'm going to be sick. I'm going to be so sick. No, you have.
For people who don't know, Dylan and I had a show for many years where the main crew was called the Patchwork. And it's very dear to me and Dylan. So that's kind of upsetting. It's also the thing that I laughed at because I didn't read the Patchwork Team. I just said the team doesn't get along at first, which I think is very funny considering the Veilguard. Exploring the Anderfels is a big piece of art. Solus making oh my god, the Lyrium Dagger looks so hot in the original art, but the Lyrium Dagger looks like the idol. It has the head of the idol and then like a full like dagger thing.
That's cool.
You having a bad time, babe? No, Dylan, my favorite guy in the world. No. We've unfortunately activated Dylan's trigger phrase by saying Dylan's two favorite things might have had the team name be the same. Baby. It's okay.
It's just that's such a good, like, the thing is that's such a good Dragon Age thing. Like, that's such a good.
Yeah.
That's such a. The Patchwork crew, like, all the things that I loved about that story are, like, things that I love about the Dragon Age story is that, like, we don't necessarily like all belong together, and like we don't like all have an alignment at first, and like, and it's just that like we have to figure it out. And that would be such a good Dragon Age story. It would be such a good Dragon Age story. And oh, it's so sad that they didn't get to make that story.
I know,
it's so upsetting that they didn't get to make that story, because and this series deserved that story, and the writers deserved to make it, and I deserved to play it. So
yeah, you did.
And I did.
Yeah, you
and
did,
I'm being
darling.
so serious. It's so sad that like there was an end to that story. that the writers were excited about, and that everything I learn about it is so
what it should be. It fits.
quintessentially Dragon Age. It would have been so good, and it's so sad that because of essentially corporate greed and a misread of what their audience is, we never get to have that closure to that story, and the game is just done now. Like it's over.
Yeah.
Jesus. Okay.
I'm so sorry. That hit you way harder than I thought it was gonna. Love you so much, darling. I'm so sorry. That's
okay. That's all right. You know what? I think we should call Anders.
I think we're gonna close it.
We should let Anders know, and he'll do a bomb threat, and it'll be fun.
No, he won't. Anders famously doesn't call in a bomb.
No, he doesn't call in a bomb threat. He just blows it up.
He just does the damn thing.
Yeah.
I'll
tell you what. Whew. Oh wow. Okay. We've got. I'm crashing out. Actually, Robin. I'm crashing out pretty hard.
I know. I can see that be tough. I can see it be tough on you. And I was like, "Oh, how much of this is going to get cut?" Actually,
none of it. Live with it. Sit with it. I'm gonna tag all of the Dragon Age devs in this. Yeah. Okay. So I'm looking to see if we got any other questions.
We didn't get any other
questions. Okay.
No.
So I like my fantasy future Dragon Age game. I also love what should have been the writer's vision for a Dragon Age game. It sounds amazing. I loved. There are a couple of themes in the series, like that we see repeatedly throughout the games. There's themes of like justice and vengeance shows up a lot. Even outside of Anders, is like this theme of that. There's there's a theme that runs pretty strong, which is like a grabbing like the power you yield, and like having that after it's necessary, and the corruption that it can lead to. That's definitely another theme. What are some other themes you see repeatedly in the game? In the series?
I mean, there's I know that I speak for Dragon Age 2, but like extremism and like when is that a positive thing is consistently, I think, talked about. Because it's like, I mean, Origins, you have a lot. I mean, the Brazilian Forest, to talk about a thing, that's extremism.
Yeah.
The mages start speaking of the annulment, the right of annulment. Like immediately, as soon as you get there, the Templars are like, let's just kill them all because there's demons upstairs and shit like that. And
let's just kill everybody.
You have the chance to destroy the Urn of Sacred Ashes because the threat of the fact that it's can be found and taken by people is like so big that is it worth it to like have this? Like there's so many a lot of the big choices are down to like extreme beliefs, and when is it okay to act on it, and when is it like we can't do that though? Like it's like, I understand why you feel this way, and as I understand why you feel this way, but you can't do it like this. But then also it's like the weird thing was like, and as you can't do it like this, you did fix it though. Like Anders did a significant amount, like almost destroyed every circle through this one act of horrendous violence, did liberate a lot of people. And it's like, is that what it, like the question is that worth it? Is that like a thing that's,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
And the unfortunate part of it is that he did start a rebellion, and
Well, that's it. That's yeah.
and we did step in to that rebellion and stop them from fighting each other. It's just that then what becomes like an unanswered question is that, because this series is really bold in a lot of ways, but they've always been a little bit timid on giving us like an actual resolution to these fights against oppression. Like, obviously the worst offender has been Veilguard. We don't get to fight oppression in any way meaningfully at all. But
we are status quo holders.
Status quo holders in Veilguard. But I do think that running through the series, I would have loved to see like a little bit more of a through line to that, where we could see that, like, okay, so the Mage Rebellion happened. We stopped them from fighting. We sided with whichever one. Is that are there still, what's going on in those circles? Are they still doing the rite of annulment? Is Vivienne at risk of the rite of annulment at this moment in time?
That's what I think is part of that extremism conversation, is Vivienne being so status quo. Wynn is also very status quo holder, where both of them want to, let's actually, like, yeah, it's tough, but let's kind of keep it going.
I will push back on Vivienne being status quo holder. I think that Vivienne's thing is that she thinks that the best way to change things for the mages is for the mages to have more power in the chantry. And so for the circle mages to have a say in chantry law, because that's the system she knows, and that's the system she grows up in. So she feels that being able to affect change in that system is the best and safest way, whereas like some of us are like, get rid of the circle entirely. From her perspective, she's seen people become abominations. That part scares
but
her.
She still is like, she's still pro keep the mages in prison, just make prison better.
No.
And
Absolutely.
She's only that because her prison is great, actually, and she's having a great time with it. And
right.
I can
also
imagine
lives in a different
Vivienne
echelon
being
of prison. Yeah, for sure.
Like, she will be manipulated in the system instantly. Actually, I think day one Vivienne will start like trying to make moves, and people will say, give her a rebuttal, and she's like, yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, we can keep it as it is. And it's like, I feel like as strong as she is, she does want it to remain the same, because I think there's a lot of like internalized mage homophobia from her, or mage phobia. I don't know what you'd call it.
Yeah.
And it's, you can say like, oh, well, it's because she's seen those things firsthand. And it's like, yeah, but so has every mage. Like all of them have seen that happen. I don't see a world in which even like an apostate hasn't seen someone become an abomination. The threat of them becoming an abomination is constant. It's a thing that mages just live with. And, I think Vivienne is just like, yeah, well, we kind of want to just keep it going.
Yeah.
Keep that same train a rolling, but maybe give it a new coat of paint, eh? Add on a little food cart for the mages. Then the people in Snowpiercer will stop complaining. Yeah. So I think extremism and how that kind of interacts with the world is a big thing, because it's because oppression is such a huge storyline in the world that extremism and the question of it naturally comes out through being,
Yeah.
If you're talking about oppression, you have to bring up the fact that to get out of oppression, people are going to do huge things, and the thing that is uncomfortable for most people is those huge things often are the only things that work. And that's what a lot of Dragon Age is about.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a new one.
Okay.
Unkissables. What companion, one, that wasn't romanceable should have been romanceable?
Felicia Day. You want to talk about game sales going up in 2009? You're getting Felicia Day kissable in a video game. Dragon Age 2 would have been the biggest selling game ever.
Hate that. Hate you, but yeah. Sure. And that, but
Varric.
you can only kiss her on her big day out.
On a big day out. It's Varric. Varric is the character.
Varric in Inquisition, not in 2. I think it is very important to the structure of 2 that Varric is your best friend. I think that is. I think that's exceptionally important to the through line of. In that case,
I changed my answer then, because mine is Varric in 2, not in Inquisition.
Oh, what is your other answer?
Let me think about it. Gotta have a second.
Mine is Varric in Inquisition. Varric in Inquisition should absolutely be romanceable.
Yeah, you help him through his divorce.
Yeah,
you make out with him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's tough.
Or let me fuck that old woman. Let me fuck Wynn.
Yeah. She's 29.
She's we make her younger every time. She's only 29. Yeah. True.
Yeah.
True.
I would really dig. The problem is I would really dig a villain who is romanceable. Like, I would love a full. Obviously, I'd love a full game where the thing is that Solas is in love with the protagonist.
Yeah.
It made Trespasser really cool. Like the idea that he is killing everything.
Mm-hmm.
But oh my god, is so heartbroken by the fact that they're doing it, and it's like that's good. And I would love a game where, God, I don't know. Solas has already been answered, but the thing is that is just a pitch that I would really like. I would like a game where the person is the antagonist from the start, and you can romance them, like fucking Meredith. Like you can meet Meredith early doors with Aveline. You get to know her, because at first she isn't mad. She goes mad because of the Illyrium idol. Like you can romance her. The pair of you can fall in love, and then she descends into madness, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. And then maybe there'll be cool things where it's like she's descending into madness, but then Hawk is also descending a little bit into madness, and there's like weird scenes where things aren't what they seem, and you're like, why is it whenever I see Meredith, I go mad, or I stay over, I go mad, and it's like, oh, it's because there's carbon monoxide poisoning in her house, and
that could have been cool too, because if you were a pro mage Hawk and you were romancing her and you convinced her to be a little more sympathetic towards mages, the descent to madness would have been fully against her will, and it would have manifested as her fighting it, and then if you were a pro Templar Hawk that fully encouraged her hate of mage,
drive her into it,
then you drive her into it. And
it would have been it's DA2's probably weakest for me storytelling bit is that Meredith and Orsino are only in they're in the whole game, but they are prime in Act 3. Whereas this would pull them into you can easily meet Meredith Act 1 because Aveline is there, and Aveline is she's like, oh, I've done Templar, like I've done training, but they kind of want me to do some like Templar shit. Do you want to come with me? And then you meet Meredith and you can like flirt and kind of have like a thing where you see her more and more. And then she has a personal quest that lasts 1 and 2. And then Act 3, it's like you turning up at the big fight between Orsino and Meredith after, you know, after all of the end of Act 2, and then you can talk through, you know, what has happened to you, like what is going on. I haven't, like, you know, it could have been cool. Another thing that, not to go back, but I'm going back a little bit, but a thing in your pitch of a game that I thought of that would be another interesting side story is if everyone got magic, would all the Quinari have to change their names to like Bars? Or like there would be like a village or like a thing where someone's like, oh, there's a Cerebas that's doing all this bad stuff, where everyone keeps talking about this awful Cerebas, and you go there and it's a whole village of people who are new mages, didn't know what to do with it, and they all called each other the same name. And then it's like, oh, it's not one person doing all this stuff. It's not one incredibly powerful mage doing it. It's a group of people who don't know how to handle the fact that they're cut off from the world and all calling each other the same thing.
I like that. I also think that I think that like the veil coming down, the dwarves get the magic back from the stone. The elves get their magic back from the fade. The Qunari all get their dragon magic back.
Yeah, it would all be dragon based.
They all get their breath magic back, and that's that's a whole other like quest line, a storyline that we have to unlock. Is that like what is the Qunari link? Why did that get severed in this mess?
That would be cool. Yep.
What Qunari was working with elven gods at the time and got like you know, like what was it that got us wrapped up in this? And that like that oh god, I love this.
Yeah,
you know what it is, like I love Thetis. I love the world that they've created. It feels so alive to me. That I feel able to just think of possible plot lines in this world that I didn't make, you know, like that, but like that it's so real to me that I can kind of do that, and that we can sit here and riff about it. Like I just feel like it's such a real place.
No, it's great. It's really very, very job. Cool.
Yeah.
Really did. So yours is Varric. Inquisition is your kissable.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Varric is my unkissable.
I do think it might be someone like Meredith. Like
I like
someone who is like can pull a really interesting like
I like that
curveball, and then also it kind of like it would lead her descent into just like a really interesting place, I think. Unlike the Switch is unlike Sol. I mean, admittedly, like Solus, where it's like you can't convince him otherwise. But I know in the Veilguard, it's like the idea is that you can, and then he regrets it. It's Meredith's like you can't convince her otherwise, like, and she has no regret about it. And it's like it's like this isn't, you're not the same person anymore. And I do actually think it will be that would be an interesting reflection of the like romances between, if you romance Solus and you romance Meredith, it's like both of them are driven by this one singular thing, and it's kind of like it's just so ingrained in them that you can't fight against it, regardless of how much you like want to and how much you try. Like Solus isn't going to give up, and neither would Meredith, but they're for different, like darkly different reasons. You could have an interesting conversation if Hawk survives and romanced Meredith. Hawk could have a really interesting conversation with the Inquisitor about like, I also fell in love with someone who tried to destroy the world. Shit sucks, dude. It's bad, and we should talk about it.
Yeah.
How you feeling?
Ooh, bad. I'm gonna crash out a little. But I love this series. All right. So just a kind of general, let's say, you know what? Let's say a series overall, but we get two. We get the whole series, and we get a we get a trilogy rating. Where do
A
you
rating for the trilogy?
for the trilogy?
As
But
in
you get
out of 10?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
The only thing that brings it down is gameplay.
yeah, yeah.
And that's a shame about it. Because we are replaying Origins because I'm chomping at the bit. Hey gang, I have Dragon Age, the Stolen Throne book here.
Yeah.
Because I want to experience this world more. You and I spent a solid 2 hours talking about doing a one-on-one Dragon Age TTRPG when we're bored and we make characters and then we pitched our own Dragon Age storyline.
Yep.
Because we want to spend more time in this world.
In
like
this
the
world
is honestly perfect. It's so like it joins like the echelon of things that the problem with the world is that it is now too many cooks, where there are too many people in their hands in pots, and people don't really want to advance the world in a way that's fascinating. Because I would love this to be one of the series where I have friends who know like Middle Earth like back of their hand, are talking deep lore, and like we're getting mad at Rings of Power because, well, this person actually joined with this faction because of this and this in the Silmarillion and this, and like saying things that are complete gibberish to me. I want to be that for Dragon Age. You know, I want to know that shit for Thedas. I want to, like how you go on rants of just like, well, that doesn't work in the Valgard because of this tiny piece of lore said in this one comic that was printed on Free Comic Book Day in 1985. And I'd love to have that kind of knowledge. So the world is a solid. I never used to like giving like full perfect scores, like 10 out of 10s, because it's like, well, there's always something wrong with it. But then I kind of got over the fact that, well, there's always something wrong with the world. You have to look at the world as like, well, nothing is perfect, so a perfect score is different. I do think the world is a complete 10. I love it, and I love the stories. I'm telling you, right? I'm sick. I feel ill with how much I love Hawk. I feel disgusted with the Dragon Age 2 gang and how much they are my fucking boys.
That's your boys.
Yeah. I'm getting art for the walls for Kirkwall because that's my fucking city, greatest city in the world. Don't ever step to it. Don't ever talk bad about my city. Only I'm allowed to do that. I think it just fucks. Go Birds. What would the Kirkwalls be?
Hawk.
No, but that's the character of Hawk. Like Kirkwall isn't going to say go
and
Hawks.
Hawk is the champion of Kirkwall.
And they make their sport team. Sport team around one guy.
Yeah.
All right. Sure. Go Birds. Go Hawks. Game wise, it fluctuates like fucking crazy. I don't think you can give a rating on the. I fully, if you're going to rate this game series, you can't. You unfortunately have to be like, mechanics aside, because it's like, what game are you fucking talking about? Everyone has such a vastly different combat system and mechanical prowess that it's pointless talking about it.
Yeah,
Origins is like the most fun to play a mage in the world. Inquisition is the most fun to play. Dragon Age 2 is the best story and the mechanics suck, and the Velgard is a middle action PS2 game. But then it's like, oh, but you just said Inquisition is the most fun. It's like, yeah, but I can't be a blood mage, put walking bomb on one person, hold 50 people still as my team hits one guy who explodes, transfers bombs to everyone, and they all explode. You can't do that in Inquisition.
Yeah.
And that's a thing that Origins is so uniquely perfect at, because that's the type of game it wants. So it's like, what are you gonna
Yeah.
do when you talk about
Exactly.
game rating?
Mechanically, it's such a divisive series because everybody has a different favorite of like what they think works. No one's is 2, to be clear.
No one's is 2.
No one's is 2. But like between Origins and Inquisition, people have different opinions about like which one of those feels better, and it's just sort of it's just so much of a difference.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna say the first 3 trilogy overall, it truly is like a 9 out of 10 to me.
Yeah.
Is like one of the greatest storytelling experiences of my life. Series overall, including Veilguard, is gonna bring the mean down to probably about a 6,
7.
Yeah. Veilguard is a 3 to me. It is such a disaster of a game. And those 3 are the last 3 missions of the game. The 3 that I'm giving it is the points for those last 3 missions,
excluding I've been dead this whole time.
Yeah. No, it's the last 2 and Emmerich existing.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you, Sylvia.
Yeah, it's that, and but the rest of it, it's yeah. I feel I want to just say, because I know we've come up on hitting our longest recording time yet again
to date. So exciting.
And I just want to say before we start to wrap up is that I feel like this game had become, because I've loved it for so long, and I've loved it for so long in a way that everybody I know knows I love it. But most people I know don't like care about it on this level. So I've loved it for a long time as like a solo thing, like it's just a me thing, and it's become a comfort thing for me, where it's just like it's like you open it up and you just sort of exist in it and have it like the equivalent of putting a show you've seen 100 times on in the background to fall asleep to, like it has become that. So getting the chance to replay it with you, but doing so with the intent to like really reapproach the story and really like re-experience it again, has made me like fully know that this is not a nostalgia piece for me. This is an actual thing that this is a piece of art that I actually really love. And I just am so grateful to have a friend like you, and to that you did this with me, and that I got to see my favorite piece of media through your eyes and with you, and to talk about it with you, and that this is now a thing that we share, and that doesn't end when we close out this episode. Like, this is just now a favorite thing that we have in common, and that we built that with this. So I really appreciate that.
And what I'm really excited for is, so we are now, starting with next week, we are going to start playing the Mass Effect franchise, starting with the prologue of Mass Effect, which ends after you leave Eden Prime. A game series that I really like. I love Mass Effect. You haven't played it, but what I'm excited about is not only does us talking about Dragon Age not end, when we hang up this call and we're going to be able to talk about it in person and love this thing together. We are going to talk about Dragon Age in reference to other pieces of media. We're going to talk about how Mass Effect was pre-Origins. So it was the first of, this kind of, this theme, the 3 of them. I'm almost certain it is. I'm going to Google it.
Whoa.
I think I Googled it yesterday. Mass Effect. Let's look at the release date of Mass Effect 1. Dragon Age Origins. Mass Effect came out in 2007. Dragon Age Origins came out in 2009.
I do now need Dragon Age Origins to explain to me why it looks like that.
You're playing the Legendary Edition of Mass Effect.
That's true. I forgot. I was
playing
like,
a very remastered version of Mass Effect 1.
I'm so glad you said that. I was like, I now need someone to answer.
Yeah. So we are going to be able to look at the differences between Mass Effect 1, 2, 3, which is a trilogy of games where you play the same person with almost the same crew consistently. And then how they decided to approach Dragon Age, which is the same world, but 3 different people. And different characters, and then occasionally people turning up, and like what the implications of these things are. I'm just really stoked to discuss, to keep talking about Dragon Age.
I hadn't thought of it that way.
These lenses of other things. There is, big events that like big choice things that they decide to take and then kind of expand upon in separate, like Mass Effect does a thing that Dragon Age then picks up and expands upon. Dragon Age does something that Mass Effect picks up and expands upon. Things that I think are just really interesting. I'm excited to discuss and talk about, as we go through this. And then, eventually we're going to go on to other games. I'm sure Baldur's Gate 3 is going to be one of the games that we decide to play at some point, which again is so tied into Dragon Age that...
Oh, absolutely.
This show is going to become... We play story-driven, heavy choice games that have lasting impacts, and its relation to the Dragon Age franchise is what this is going to be.
That I hadn't considered that as like a piece of it. Yeah. No, that does make sense. That's really exciting, actually.
And we're going to do it together as best friends.
Because we're best friends. Oh, my God.
Ugh, dear.
All right, wait. Robin.
Hello.
What do we do as a sign off for the whole series?
I think we should do all of them.
All of them?
I think we should do all of them in like conjunction with one, like one after the other. We should do them.
And to be clear, the last one is the last one that we decided for.
Yeah. We should also do the other one that we should do all 3 that we decided.
All 3 for Belgard? Okay. Okay. All right. Okay.
So, from Dragon Age Origins, Wardens, gather round. In
peace, vigilance.
In war. It's in
war.
War. It starts at war.
It starts at war. In war, victory. In peace, vigilance. In death, sacrifice.
Now gather around, you fucking scumbags.
You fucking sluts. You
absolute
ugly pieces of shit.
Losers. You're the worst people I've ever seen
in
ever.
every single way.
It's fucking disgusting looking at you.
And get ready. Because your struggles have only just begun.
Now on your knees.
Beg. That we succeed.
For we have seen
the throne of the gods. And it is empty.
Now, gang.
Hey, gang. You wanna crack some eggs?
Oh shit, Dylan.
What?
Where is Solus?
Oh, he's right behind me, isn't he?
That one's hard to be beat, actually. I fucking love it.
Hey, the Veilguard. Whatever it takes.
That one sucks. That one stinking sucks. Hate this fucking game. I'm glad our more masochistic listeners who have outed themselves several times.
Oh, yeah, we know who you are.
I hope that they're excited about the fact that we ribbed on them a little bit and then told them to beg.
Yeah, all in sequential order.
Yeah.
I like that those two are backed up against each other. It's a
Absolutely.
very nice.
Yeah. If you nutted, tweet us about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were on board and then you heard what I said. The rumors.
Gang. This is it. We're going to talk about Mass Effect in our next episode.
Mass Effect next week. We're going to do the prologue of Mass Effect. So we're going to come with a shepherd. And we're going to do Eden Prime.
Yes.
Which I'm looking forward to. Yeah, it's going to be grand. If you want us to talk more about Dragon Age, I know we've said it a few times, but on our Patreon, we have Dragon Age Origins, every single character ranked, except for Awakening, which is sad. But then at the end, I demanded that we ranked the characters from Awakening. Dragon Age 2 ranking. And in a few weeks, we're going to do the actual Dragon Age book, starting with The Stolen Throne.
We're going to do them all.
Our goal, I'm going to say our blue sky, we might have to reassess, but we're going to do 5 chapters every 2 weeks. That's what it is. There are 19 chapters plus an epilogue. Our goal is to do... Did we say a week? Did we say 2 weeks?
2.
Every 2 weeks. We're going to do 5 chapters of The Stolen Throne every 2 weeks, and that'll be on our Patreon. It should be fun. Yeah. The first episode will be around the 24th. End of this month is our goal to do that and talk about it, which is also my birthday, the 24th of February. Very exciting.
You subscribe to the Patreon as a gift for Robin's birthday, as well as supporting us. And thank you again to everybody who has already supported us on Patreon and has already had access to these things. You are supporting us in making other art that isn't this. This is, this is a fun project for us, but we have other things that we're trying to make. So I really appreciate you, but a very special extra thank you to Rodrigo, Parker, Meadow, Callum, and Caroline, our top supporters on Patreon over there. Thank you so much. We did a whole project that we set out to do, and we finished it. And now we get to keep going.
And we keep going because we had so much fun.
We did.
Yeah.
Love you.
Love you.